Just fucking, just gauntlet.
It's just a boss rush of everybody. Sup, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Absy, Johnny, and Silver for the Best Gaming Podcast number 470. We're going to talk about video games, video game news, what we've been doing, what we've been playing, what you guys have been playing and doing. Frankie Nuts with the membership for 4 months says, "What's up, fellas?" And to all the homies in the Discord, always love my Friday drive to and from work for the podcast. Cheers. P.S. It doesn't let me gift members anymore? Question mark. Probably not. We've had a lot of issues. You know, gifted members. Sometimes you get the wrong kind of member. But I haven't turned it off, just so you know. So I don't know what that is. But there were some definite issues past with that. I do want to say thank you to everybody who's showing up, who takes a time out of their week. You know, jumps in Wednesday, whether it be Wednesdays, whether it be, you know, you don't like Johnny and Silver, so you just show up for, you know, the Wednesday one, or you don't like just me and Absy by ourselves and you show up for the 4 people. It's just, you know, it's whatever you do. It's support, and I appreciate it. And these guys do too as well.
You're kind of fucked because I'm showing up to all of them, so you're kind of
unless
stuck.
A good game comes out on Friday, and then you might be sick on Friday.
Is that a thing? I've never done that.
That is very much a thing, because there were multiple days, there were big games on Fridays, and you were sick twice, and one time you had to go during it, and somebody was like, "Oh, let's go
that
play
is suspect. That is suspect.
It is suspect.
I'm not. I am a very honest person. Dishonesty is not a thing I do.
Well, you were halfway through the podcast. If you had showed up halfway and then went home, that would have been weird anyway. Like, why would you have even show? You could have just said I was sick, but instead you showed up for half of it, looked like you had to poop, and then left. So it's like I didn't think that one. You definitely done
that
it.
one? No, that one was
yeah, because you were here for half of it. Glad to have you all here. Looking forward to this. Thank you very much, Robert. Thanks to Gary for showing up, and Big Mac, and Dev Guy. Dev Guy says, "Evening, gentlemen. Instant sickness." Yeah. As a game shadow drops, and Absy's like, "Oh, I'm feeling ill. Gotta go."
I've never lied. I'm telling you, I never lied.
I have never lied. Sounds like world police.
I haven't lied since my girlfriend cheated on me when I was 17, all right?
That sounds like Bill Clinton or something. Like, I have never lied.
It does sound like it. Does sound like
not even a white lie, dude. If a pregnant girl asks me if she looks fat, I tell her, yeah, obviously you're pregnant, you know?
Well, I appreciate the soul bearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Fantastic Four. Yes, indeed, Tembo. What's up, Aston? Friday podcast, the best podcast because Friday. It is. We always get to jump into Fridays. It feels good to do so. It feels good to get the guys together and sit down and just bullshit about everything. If you guys get a chance, open up this podcast right now and leave a comment. It helps the channel immensely. Let's jump in. First of all, Johnny, what have you been playing?
So I've been playing Stellar Blade. I actually did a review for it. I'm trying my hand at doing some reviews. And completed the game. I loved it overall. I could point to, you know, a frustration here or there. The platforming, right? There are a few things. A difficulty spike towards the end. But actually all of it mostly enjoyable and really, really fun game with awesome visuals, great animations, fun, like satisfying combos. It's satisfying when you have a game that's like, complete. I know, you know, we don't take it for granted these days, right? It's a complete game. It's got a bunch of outfits, which, as you guys know, I'm a sucker for. When I played Spider-Man, that was my most enjoyable thing, unlocking all the suits. And similarly, it was pretty fun to do it here too. And very, very fun game. Highly recommended for people.
It's good to have a complete game that's just there, right? And even if it's not perfect, just fun.
Yeah, it's it's standalone. It's not wanting to be like a full season battle pass or whatever.
It just does its thing and delivers it to you. Would you say 80% of the time you were in scantily clad mode, or did you change up stuff?
I switched around a lot. I actually like the ones that had more clothing usually, because they kind of looked a bit more like I was on an op, I was a sort of military asset. I like the one that was all black, for example. It looked really sleek. I liked switching around a lot more than anything.
I don't know about you, Johnny. One thing that impressed me with their graphic design, not just technical ability or whatever, was there's one particular suit in there that's sort of the green I guess you did just unitard kind of thing, right? It's a one piece, and she has these wings, gossamer glass wings. That it's like a scarf, but it's sort of the transparency was. It reminds me of when I was a kid and I saw Toshinden try transparencies, and it was that fake transparency where it was really just hashes, like a kid with a pencil. And so to see the real transparency on that was just a blast from the past, because I don't usually notice that in games. You notice glass, you notice like windows. But on a character,
I definitely noticed that because it looked very good.
Yeah, it was just sort of this awesome feel to it. So if you guys get a chance, check out Johnny's channel. I'm assuming this is on YouTube, right?
It is on YouTube. Yeah, Johnny Plays Live, and I have a girthy. It turned out to be a very lengthy review. Yeah, I don't know why I said
load.
That. Yeah, it's just lengthy.
Yeah, I was like, what's this mean? Gotcha. So so it's a good long. It's a good long
in depth.
Doesn't matter what I say.
You've been making load deposits while on stream, so you can withdraw after stream.
Yeah, it's like no matter what word you say, because there's so much slang around that, you can't win. Dude, you can't.
You were cum stacking while playing the game live.
Okay, maybe not that. Now that's too far. As always, I got to slow Abzy down. His roll is going to get going. We're going to be lost by the end of the podcast. It can't equal takedown, right? It'll never equal takedown.
No,
as long as you don't get my advertisers that I don't have to leave me.
Yeah.
Johnny, what else you been playing?
A little bit of V Rising. I'm in. I just kind of slid into Abzy's server. And I'm just chilling there, hunting down some bosses.
He's got the location, man. He's got the better.
I got a primo location right in the middle.
Straight in the middle of the map, like straight in the middle.
Yeah. Very enjoyable game. I love the dynamic of, you go hunt some, and then there's daytime, so you can kind of chill back, build some stuff. Love the game. Very fun time.
Excellent. What about you, Silver? What have you been playing?
Well, a lot of Warhammer 3. It's pretty much been the one game I've been playing up until today, where I played a bit of Ghost of Tsushima, the PC version.
PC version. Gotcha. And what do you, if you don't mind me asking, because we did talk a little bit about Warhammer last time, I think, what do you think, just Ghost, is it just all good? Have you run into issues? Has it just worked?
I have run into a couple of issues. Like technically it's good mostly, but I have an issue that I haven't been able to resolve, which is a weird lighting issue where I don't know what it is exactly, but there are it's like objects that are sources of light that bloom out and become like really blinding. Oh,
really?
Yeah, and I haven't been able to really fix it, even playing around with settings and stuff. Not sure what causes it. So that's been really weird. It seems to happen in mostly in transition as it loads in areas and objects. But yeah, it's pretty weird. Also, I had hope because of crossplay that there would be progression crossplay for the Legends multiplayer mode.
Right.
Unfortunately, there is not. So if you played Legends on PS4 or PS5, you will have to start over on PC, which is a little unfortunate. But other than that, I tried matchmaking today, played a bunch of matches in Legends, and it worked really quick, really smooth for the most part. There are some bugs in the sort of PlayStation logistics underneath sometimes where you get thrown off it, but other than that, it's worked.
Excellent. Anything besides that in Warhammer?
Not really.
Okay. What about you, Abzy?
I've mostly been playing V Rising. I hit a massive difficulty spike though, around like 62, 63. Like, holy crap, those bosses are just really difficult, man. Really difficult. Other than that, I'm waiting to get my monitor to continue my Horizon playthrough and jump on Ghost of Tsushima after that. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, we got to watch you stream that for a little bit. It's definitely a thing. I like that it's a little slower than, or a little less gibby or something than Diablo 4 from what I was expecting.
I tried to play Diablo the new season, and it's just not as engaged, not nearly as engaging. Like, you always have to be on your toes and V Rising. You have to dodge, you have to use your skills intelligently, you have to, you know what I mean? There's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of duels and stuff, and fun action. Diablo is just like hack and slash, mindless. Like it's good for like watching podcasts and mindlessly killing
Yeah.
stuff, but I feel like
Yeah, I
I can
could
do
see
that
that.
with V-Rising as well, and it still stimulates my like reaction time.
V-Rising actually is like an action. What would you say? It reminds me of League. I know you made the comparison kind
It's
of like
more action than like
tangentially.
survival.
Yeah, because
stuff.
you actually like need some mechanics. You know, you have to dodge
Keep talking, I'm listening.
attacks on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, line attacks and
Choose
like
your
position yourself
build.
for the range of. So there's a lot more like
Yeah.
mechanics, whereas Diablo is a lot more about just a knowledge of the
Just
skills and
builds.
cycling them right
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
proper way. So I enjoy that aspect of the mechanical, like, okay, you know, I'm dodging people.
Games
and
like Diablo and like Path of Exile, I think rely on what can I do with my build to break the game? What can I do with my build to just spam kill everything in an instant? You know what I mean?
And there are some moments in those games where you get that, like bosses where for sure you have to, you know, evade skills and be very wary of those.
That's part of the reason why I'm excited for Path of Exile 2, because it looks like it's more mechanically.
I think so. I think it's less about the hordes and a bit more like
the moment-to-moment gameplay. Yeah, for sure. But with V-Rising, yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, hell yeah, good game. No, yeah, I remember. It's definitely, I think, from my memory right now, I think it's the only, other than shooters, the only survival game that actually has good combat. Like most survival games, you're just the hit detection is bad. It's just, it feels very janky. This one is actually very centered around combat and stuff, and it's really cool. There's tons and tons of options, not only server options, but like your own options. If you're trying to just do a single player, not trying to host a server, just do your own single player playthrough, you can streamline the hell out of the whole crafting process and all that stuff. You don't even have to worry about it and just play it like an RPG. Honestly,
I find it humorous that a game or a genre called like survival, the one thing to do to survive would be fight, and yet they have the worst fighting in them.
It's weird, man.
Dude, it is weird. It's like a high school team beating the NFL, a football team. You see this stuff and you're like, well, they're called professional. This is professional. This is a thing. This is a genre called survival, and yet the one thing to do is terrible. And usually it's not about, oh, they're just a normal person. We've seen that. I'm not talking about those games at all. I'm not talking about those games. We could go there all day. But one thing that's nice is you guys were talking about, they're in the same genre overall. There's some overlap. But it is pretty cool that they're totally different, because I can tell you there'd be times I'd much rather play a game that's about the skills like Diablo, where I can sort of go motor set in and know it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7Q, versus having to think about it a little bit more. And then those days
I get that for sure.
where I want to think about it, you now have that game. And then you've got Path of Exile, which is, I don't know what that is. It looks like a monster to me. So I'm sort of afraid of turning it on. And then what's the other one? Path of Exile, that one, and then the other one. It's a Lucitan favorite.
Last Epoch. Yeah, that one's really good. That one's really good for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy,
and another thing that they did so well is just play into that vampire role playing,
mythos
that
and folklore.
Like the sun obviously affecting you, but not only that, but in usual survival games, obviously you have to eat and drink, and but in this one it's like, okay, now there's a mechanic where you just need people's blood. It lasts a while, but different people have different blood quality, and now it's like, whoa, you can imprison people. Now you can imprison them and then just extract blood from them every day, and it's like, whoa, you can make them your servants and send them out to gather for you and stuff like that. It's just really cool how many mechanics not only play into the gameplay and the loop itself and make it satisfying, but also play into the role play of the vampire, just feeling like a vampire. And it's really good, man.
It's definitely got good reviews too. Love the games. 97. I'll get to my games I'm playing in a second. Welcome very much. I appreciate you showing up. It looks like Jay is in here as well. Jay, I hope to game with you some this weekend if we get a chance. Got some good plans there. Let's see. Aston says, Johnny has a lot more patience than me. I could only play Stellar Blade on story, and it was still difficult. I think you're not the only one. I think that game still has the issue with the parry, even when you fix it, that could feel off. Wizard to Smoke, $5 super chat. Happy Friday. Join the Discord, but remember, like what you like and don't be a dick. I know what that's in reference to, I think. After playing Nier Automata, I found it hard to get into that kind of game because Nier is so good, I think is what he's saying. Yeah, I could get that. I think Nier
plus
is
like
really
the
good.
existential stuff, it leaves you just, you know, you don't want to play anything else for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a really good job on that game, to the point to where even if you talk to people who aren't really into that genre, a lot of them played it because there was, whether it be a story, you know, the character and what they look like. I mean, just going there was, you know, that will attract people. And then the combat and the lighting was phenomenal. And I think Nier the remake wasn't as good. Replicant. Replicant. Yeah, I liked it, but Automata is still in that group. It's still my favorite.
I loved Replicant, but yeah, I don't know which one's my favorite. They both have positives and negatives for me.
Johnny asked Aries or Aston, I don't know which one they use as the first or last, but are you power washing right now? Are they addicted to Power Wash Simulator, Johnny?
Yeah, she was saying she picked up the game and people were saying it's very therapeutic. I found the same. I really enjoyed it. And one thing I used to do is when I listen to maybe you guys or another podcast, is I would put that on, not while we're talking, but if it was a Wednesday podcast or something, and just power wash. It's very therapeutic.
Dude, they feel good, man. They feel good. I have been playing, I'm allowed to talk about it now, Hellblade 2 for review. Those come out whenever. I think it's same minute or an hour prior.
Launch day?
I can't remember. I think it was an hour at one point, but it's the same time or something like that. And then covering a couple games for previews, doing some stuff. I got to admit, man, I'm gonna say it. I jumped into Destiny with the guys, and it's
damn.
Yeah, so the onboarding is better. The merge of the story is a little bit easier. It's sort of janky. It's almost like they took away. This is my memory. I'm not saying I'm right. It feels like they took away some cutscenes because of the cut content and put in a cartoon or an anime. It's like this thing that looks cheap. I don't know any other way to describe it. It's these weird black and yellow, black and white. Yeah, a little bit. But they're more fleshed out. They're more. There's movement, but it's almost like 3D effects applied with Adobe than it is like an animation.
Like a flash.
And so, yeah, there's something about it, but it tells the story. It goes through, tells the story. You jump in, then you have the option to skip and skip the main first part of the story and jump directly to the tower, which I did not do on purpose because I wanted to play it. And you know, their shooting is awesome, and if you take it with a grain of salt that the story is just not going to come together because they parsed it, done so many things. Yeah, we had a good time. I can't wait. I covered it in the video for the games in June. I really am excited for the huge changes in Destiny, and I think that since this is the last of this story arc, it's sort of I jumped in when the story arc started, so I feel something in the back of my head that's like it would be nice to at least attempt to try to play and enjoy the end of the story, at least the end of this major one. What's up,
a bit of
Moodski?
closure?
Yeah, a bit of closure. And so playing both of those, had a really good time doing that. Jumping into some other stuff, but nothing really big. It's not. It's a bit of a lull, but it's not, because we just mentioned a game that went to 1-0. Then there's the other vampire one, and then there was another game that came to 1-0 here just in the last couple days. Then there's Hades 2. So it's like there's still a bunch to play. It's just that we don't have the big releases are starting to come back out, and we had that dead time, which was really nice. Nice to be able to jump back into some of the older stuff and engage with them, and then doing some board gaming, which has been a blast. Sort of trying to step away from the PC a little bit and get some sun, man. Get some vitamin D, which also sounds dirty, but getting out D. And getting, dude, get that D. Going out into the sun though, I have to remember I can't take a tablet 'cause you can't read anything, so I have to go out and read books, and that's actually been pretty nice going outside. But it's funny because we always joke, like Absy's getting an OLED. We were talking about brightness on the Wednesday podcast about different environments, and then I go outside with the super bright tablet, and of course it can't defeat the sun. And I'm out there with this like expensive tablet going, I can't see shit. No matter how bright that tablet is.
The OLED, like they do a bit better on the
OLED or dimmer.
Are they?
They do better with blacks. So the black level's 0 on those, but the brightness is usually lower. They're doing a great job on repairing that though and getting that fixed up really quickly. But for example, I don't know if you saw this. One of the companies was announcing they're going to release a new micro LED that was like 10,000 nits. And I'm telling you straight up, That's sunburn. Like that's ridiculous.
Oh,
At that,
yeah, that's
dude,
like
that would be bad on your eyes.
Retinal damage.
Yeah, bad on your eyes. But and then we all sat and we talked about something I wanted to ask you guys about that I didn't put on the list, not because I didn't want to surprise you, but because that I want to surprise you, but because I just remembered this. We were looking at our desktop configurations, and we just talked like Absy's doing one long one to test out. I think you had two prior. I can't remember if that's what you had said, Absy. But the question came up, how do you have your setup? Do you have two? Do you have a vertical? Some people run a vertical next to the horizontal, maybe for reading, doom scrolling, reading how bad your Twitter feed is. What are your guys' setups for monitors right now? Like, what are you guys using? Anybody?
I just have
Okay.
a single 27-inch.
You're using one monitor?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I don't know anybody who uses one anymore. What are you using, Johnny?
So I got two. I got the front one that I look at when I'm playing a game. Then I got the side one where I have you guys right now.
Gotcha.
And the simple setup. The side one is just a 1080p that I use, and then the front, the big one, is what I use for editing, playing games and stuff. And that's a 4K, and it's kind of a chunker. I think it was a 34-inch. I want to say. Yeah, really happy.
Have you ever gone to 3?
No, I thought about it, but then, like, realistically, what am I gonna have on the third one? I feel like a lot of people end up having Spotify on the or just Discord, and I don't really need it, so I prefer to claim back some of the real estate, and just kind of.
Yeah, I get that. What about, and Absy, are you doing just the one, or are you going to have another one beside you or on top for other kind of?
Currently, I have the like a 32-inch main monitor and a 27-inch side monitor, both 1440p. And then I'm going to replace the 32-inch. I'm going to take that, put it in my office, and then replace it with the ultra wide and keep the 27-inch because I think the 21.9 that I'm getting, which is 34 inches, is the same or similar, very similar height to the 27-inch that I have.
And so moving back and forth might be easier.
Yeah, so I've never had monitors with the same height. I've always had like one smaller than the other. So for the first time, and it's a little bit curved, and it's Samsung, so I think it's gonna fit in nicely. I'm hoping. So I'll check it out. Yeah.
Gotcha. And people were asking. Currently, what I do is I have one in front, I have one to the side. The one to the side is usually for keeping moderation open for Discord or running reports for the channel. And then I do have a tablet that is wireless. So I do technically have 3, but I have them like bunny ear, so that I don't have to look too far to the side for too long, because I think that's pretty bad for your neck. And I have a tendency to not swivel. You're probably supposed to swivel, but it's just like you're also probably supposed to bend with your knee when you pick shit up, and no one does that. That's That's not real
I do
advice.
that.
It's a joke. But so I do the thing where I like them on top as a little bunny ear in a weird way. So when I'm doing stuff, I can just look up. And,
like the stock people, they got all the
or a security guard. You got 6 in front of you and shit. But I've never had monitors the same size ever, side by side. Like never. I always have a main, because otherwise, if they're side by side, I would try to sometimes put them together, and you got a bezel. You would be like, which is number 2? Yeah. But it's interesting too. I have a lot of my friends now who are doing side by sides, and one of them is a dual HDMI that takes in the console. So they've got 2 for their PC, but then the one is for the console that they just flip the HDMI over to the console, so they can so it's not taking into the PC. Yeah. They just have it there, so they don't have to go to their TV if they don't want to, or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I have my PS5 hooked up to my main monitor, and I just switch it. Wait, I can't do ultra wide with the. I definitely can't do ultra wide with the. I'm
sure some games support it for sure, but if they don't, you're just going to get the bars. Yeah. Or even as Reg, because when Reg originally got an ultra wide, he was complaining about a bunch of games just doing the box and nothing on the sides. But I think those were slightly older games. It is an odd, an odd res. So I'm sure some engines might have a problem, especially if you're showing more horizontal, because that's what is the draw distance versus vertical. So you might, because vertical. I wonder if the console
sky,
in clouds.
Yeah, sky and ground.
Yeah, sky and ground. Go ahead, Johnny. What were you saying?
No, I wonder if the console even supports that res for the OS itself. Like,
Yeah, I
if
don't
it
know,
can
because
fill up
remember,
the-
PlayStation didn't even cover 1440p for a while.
Yeah, no, for a
was what it
long
was.
time they didn't do 1440p. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully, I'm going to upgrade because this Asus monitor sucks balls. It turns on in the middle of the night all the time, like right in the middle of the night. So I can't wait to get a new monitor. I just have to decide what I want to get. I want to get one that's really bright, because brightness to me is like, I don't know, it's like Polygon. It's like the more the better. But then I'm worried that I'll be turning it down to what's Reg play. I think he said he has his OLED on like 30% brightness, sometimes 0 on his other one. So.
Are you gonna go for one of those like quantum OLED?
I will probably go for
fancy?
I'll probably go for something to that effect, something that's future proofed. But man, it's a money tight situation for me, right? I mean, it's for everybody. So the idea of this turning on in the middle of the night and keeping it versus spending $1,000 or whatever and more is like, no. Moving on from there, that is the answer for one of the Discord guys who paid, and I absolutely appreciated it. Romulus is asking us, anyone interested in a standing desk or walking treadmill? I don't think I want to walk and try to type or walk and try to work. I like the idea. I think it makes sense. But I don't know. Do you guys ever see yourselves walking and playing a game? Like a video game? I don't think it'd be possible for me to walk and play a video game. I'd be too...
Nah,
Fuck that.
I don't
That
have the
sounds
coordination, man, for that shit.
Sounds miserable, dude.
Yeah.
And then...
If I were physically able to, it might. I mean, a VR game or something would be.
Oh,
the
definitely. Yeah, I like the idea of that. Right, playing a VR game and walking around and stuff like that. That kind of stuff. Asa, who comes on to the podcast occasionally, he has the full setup, the full treadmill, and shit. And the idea of playing Arma and running like 6 miles to get shot in the face.
Then you also got to put on the full pack of gear and everything.
Yeah, yeah. You have to role play that, right, Silver?
Yeah.
Like we're not just going out with that. You got to put on the 30-pound rucksack, and it's more than 30.
Weighted vest.
Weighted vest. Yeah. Moving on from there, Xbox they haven't confirmed it yet, but it's pretty much already been confirmed and already known for a while that Call of Duty's coming to the Game Pass. So the next Call of Duty being Game Pass, I think it's smart. Not really new news as much as just more leakers confirming it, but I think I think the big thing that I'm wondering about is, a price hike for Game Pass. Feels like Activision's library and stuff, as they add it, as they slowly put those in, and they, new ones come out, that we'll see an increase. They probably won't be the only ones service increasing. We've seen that for a while. It felt like, I mean, I don't know about you guys. Don't you think it would be weird if they didn't? It feels like that would go against the whole Game Pass mantra of every game is available on Game Pass. Like if the next one wasn't, I can see a lot of fans rebelling over that.
Yeah.
And that's not really for us to even worry about, right? Like, it's like they're the ones who are saying everything's going to be on there. They need to figure it out. I don't care about their financials. Like, you guys work it out. It's not on us, but anybody here going to do the new Call of Duty?
You dug the grave for yourselves,
Exactly. Yeah, you got to figure it out. All these subscription services, whenever they complain about stuff, I'm like, you guys are the ones who did it. Make your own bed. Are any of you guys doing the new Call of Duty? Anybody? I'm definitely gonna experience it, but I think we're not super Call of Duty freaks, right? Campaign, maybe? No, not even single player. Okay, so that'll be me, I guess. I'll be the only one. I'll be the sole person going out there.
Sir.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll sell us on it.
Maybe
if it's amazing.
Maybe I will. What if it was a long, good 8 or 9 hours of, just straight up blasting
the one time
people
where it is
it has gotten shorter and shorter,
unless
right?
they make it a milsim or something, then I'll be interested.
Right, and
that
you're not
sounded so pinky up. Oh my god, holy shit! They have to make it a milsim. They gotta get medical items and stuff. You gotta do surgery on yourself. No, but seriously, I'm not into Call of Duty anymore.
But what you're saying is, if it was a milsim, there would be a higher chance because it would be different.
Oh, 100%, 100, or different. Yeah,
nothing
or
wrong
they
with
made
saying
it
it's different.
Like a open-ended kind of stealth, whatever the hell. Yeah, that'd be cool too. Yeah.
Little Sam Fisher stealth missions in there. Little.
They remake Splinter Cell in COD.
Oh, dude. The moment where they always tell you to be stealthy, and the first thing you do is go loud, and the game just doesn't care. That's when you know stealth doesn't work in a game, right? And you're like, oh. Yeah, that's one of the problems. Depending on what I see, I will probably try it out. Jay Reaper says, I tend to like Treyarch more. So give me some ideas. Treyarch versus it's Sledgehammer, right? The other one.
Well, Nazi Zombies is the biggest one.
Zombies, yeah, Zombies is going to be awesome. But I know there's people who fight over which company does the best Call of Duties. There's that typical there's different Call of Duty doing different things. Bone says, I loved Infinite Warfare. You and me both. Abel says, Game Pass, only reason I'll play it.
Oh, is it actually coming to Game Pass?
Is it? I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because it's...
Yeah.
I don't think it's... Is it? Did they
What?
confirm that? Is it actually coming to Game Pass?
Which one?
Call of Duty?
Did you not hear? That's how I started the entire conversation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Call of
shit,
Duty
really?
is coming to Game Pass. Did you guys
Damn.
not pick that? Both of you guys didn't pick
No,
it
I
up?
thought it
You're
was
not
just-
alone, at least. I also
Did
missed
you think I was
Yeah,
joking? No, it's coming to Game Pass. It's already been sort of known. It is coming to Game Pass, though. Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck, dude? They're gonna lose out on so many sales, dude.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying about the thing. Are you playing games, Abzy? I'm just joking. That's going to be
Yeah,
poor,
dude, I'm playing
Lord Addict.
Destiny.
Poor Lord
Playing
Addict.
Yeah, he got.
felt
Oh
bad.
my god, I knew he was gonna get shafted in the comments. God damn it. Yeah.
Santiago says, do you think every older game will be on Game Pass? It really depends. And yeah, like Oregon says, it's not official. It's just been leaked multiple times, and this is the third round of big leaks. So, we'll just say it's coming to Game Pass. And then if it doesn't, you can be like, oh, I guess it didn't. I've now found that with rumors and stuff like that, you can just say whatever and then turn around and be like, what I really meant was, Hazel, $5 super chat. I want to get the new COD to try out the zombies mode. It's the only reason I get COD. Have any of you tried Scare Ritual? I have not. No. I've not played that one. I think not. What's his Donut? Naughty Donut? I don't think that's his name. But our user in their Donut, I think he tried it. A couple people have tried that one, but I haven't jumped in to see. Any of you guys played that? Silver, have you played it?
Nope.
Scar Ritual. It's pretty intense looking. A little bit of like almost like a horror game of some kind. Shooter. Think of me and Johnny next time you sleep with your wife, Abzy said. Jesus, you dummy.
He said we remind him of his wife, man.
I know. I
That's
said
not my
don't engage, man. That's the opposite. Dev guy says they were just not interested. That's why I didn't register. Exactly. They did say they don't care about Call of Duty, so their brains were like,
okay, that's kind of true.
Yeah. See, Johnny, I told you,
bad.
man.
Yeah, I mean, that's
bad.
how I react to everything you guys tell me anyway.
But by
we're
the way,
good.
that actually made me more interested because I thought, you know what? Couple hours for a banger, go in, or for a bang rather.
Yeah.
Feel it out for a bit.
No matter what you say, it's all going to sound sexual after you say go in for a bang.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah. I think when you look at it, it makes complete sense. It's not something that's surprising if they do. If they don't, it'll be more surprising. But this is something that definitely, when you look at it, there's no surprise there for it being. And that was the expectation of gamers who own Game Pass. They say day one, that's on them. They're trying to sell it as a difference between PlayStation. I don't give a shit what their financials are. Like I said, I don't care about the company. I care about what we get and what they promise. And they promised that those would be in there. And that's what needs to happen. As for the older ones, I haven't tracked if they're in or what ones are in yet. But day and date, it makes complete sense. And it's not that surprising. Moving on from what apparently is boring to at least 50% of people listening and to our hosts.
I'm sorry.
So did you guys see that? So Take2, 2.8 or 2.67 billion, ton of money that they lost in this last year. They did a financial report, but they also stated that 2025 fall is when GTA 5 is coming out. So Abzy's on the way to winning that, right? Or did I say 2005?
No. I my cutoff it was the summer. Remember, halfway.
Your cutoff was the summer. Okay, so we'll have to see because it's them, right? They could do it. Mm-hmm. They could actually do it early, but I don't know about you guys. I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, look, it's for sure coming out then," and I'm all. It doesn't mean it could be delayed even longer, right? We have no.
Yeah.
We have no clue.
2 years.
It is so weird, guys. They lost $2 billion and just like,
Shrug it off.
That's a big company, man. That's a big company.
Yeah.
$2 billion.
Meanwhile, Square Enix is like, oh, it didn't meet sales expectations. Meet sales expectations. Didn't meet sales expectations.
Well, do you think that's just because the long tail for GTA 4 or 5 is just so long that
since 2013?
Yeah, that their entire cycle is different than everybody else, Yeah.
They have an interesting weird cycle.
Yeah,
because
go ahead. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, because they're I feel like I feel like they have their small amount of devs compared to the whole company working on the GTA Online stuff, like content. But that small division is making most of the money, maybe for
Yeah,
Rockstar,
right.
right? You would assume so, right? So it's very
Yeah.
interesting what they do with that.
Yeah, that is true. I hadn't thought about that. It does appear, yeah, because they're keeping it running.
Yeah.
They're putting, you know, they put the DLC in the back. You know, I'm sure they released a purple gun and a gold gun that you can buy for $5 in cash, whatever.
Yeah.
And the rest, everybody else is working on 6, and it just pays itself, man. Somebody had said in the comments in Discord that, and I didn't pick up on this. I don't necessarily know, but they were saying something like, well, it's because they banned so many people. That's the only reason they continually get that many sales, because they have so many bans, because like hackers and
that's probably such a small amount.
That's what I was thinking too. When I heard it, I was like, I don't know if that's, I don't know if it's not true. It seems like it would.
Right.
With the number of hackers, it seems like it could add some, but
Some,
200
yeah.
million, 200
but not
million
over
sales?
like 5%, I don't think.
I think
Like,
what's more
even
true is
5% is
that
high.
every single year there are people growing up, becoming new gamers,
Right.
who would then go back and pick up Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, GTA 5 it transcends like the gaming sphere for sure. It's like Among Us.
Do you guys feel like, don't take this wrong way if you love this game, I think everybody does. Do you guys feel like Red Dead 2 in a weird way doesn't have near that, ignoring the online part? Like,
Yes.
Do you think maybe it's a simulation of it?
It doesn't have anywhere near the sort of ingrained presence in the cultural mindset, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, just popularity, yeah.
As Grand Theft Auto.
If you scratch online from both of them, do you think that's just because cowboys are less popular than modern and verticality of planes and all that? Or is it something that, I mean, I've always wondered this. Oh, go ahead.
I just think like because of the controversy it faced, especially around like GTA 3 times, where it was like, oh my god, kids are gonna start killing people in real life and all that stuff. It became such a household name and even used in like movies and TV, where it's like, what do you get? Grand Theft Auto is like a thing,
Right.
you know, it's without even being a gamer. I think that boosted it for sure.
Yeah, because if your kid puts on a Western hat, you don't give a shit. But if they grab a gun and go outside, right? So they put on their duster, you're like, maybe it's Halloween, but if your kid's watching you beat up prostitutes for cash in GTA, there's a different thought. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy the amount of success they've had. And that I was listening to Matt, I'm sorry, I can't remember his last name, but he does NPD numbers, like the sales. And he was pointing out just how many times single games or 2 games have lifted up the entire industry for a year or 2 years. And he was stating that Helldivers, weirdly enough, was one of the huge bonuses this year. And that by itself, even, it's already sold how many? 40 million?
Oh, over 12 million.
Over 12 million. I'm sorry, that was a little high. Over 12 million. And that is insane. And they have a ton of people still playing it despite all of the other issues.
More than twice the population of my country.
That's more than twice of your entire country? That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, so 2 of your countries out there playing the game. No, I just, it's cool to see a game do that well, despite, all of the issues we know existed around it. When it comes to GTA 5 or 6, this also means, by the way, that it most likely will not be connected in any way to PlayStation Pro, which some people are putting together as the possibility of like the Pro releasing right when it does, that kind of thing. But we're talking the fall. We have no clue what the new companies will do. But I have to ask you guys, seriously, no joke, think about the tech before you just answer. Do you guys expect a 30 FPS Switch 2 version?
No.
Everybody's putting their foot down. No.
Yes.
30 FPS, 900p, upscaled to 1080, still no. Okay, that's fair. What about you, Johnny? Is he talking?
Yeah, I think you're muted.
You're muted, bro.
There we go. Yeah. I didn't want any typing to come through.
No worries.
I think we would see it eventually, but I'm expecting something like what The Witcher did, where like the vegetation wasn't even the same thing. Like
I don't. There's a very big reason why I don't think we'll see a Nintendo port for Grand Theft Auto, which is that I don't see Grand Theft Auto Online going to Nintendo.
Oh,
Has GTA ever been on a Nintendo console?
I don't think so. I don't know.
But yes,
Was it on a Wii?
Wasn't the original, or was that
GameCube,
only on
maybe?
PlayStation 1?
Oh, I was playing it on PC, the first two.
Yeah, so was I, but it
Yeah.
did. No, I
'Cause
think that one may just have been PlayStation 1. Yeah.
Chinatown DS. DS. People are saying Chinatown.
Yeah,
they did.
Chinatown Wars did come out on DS. Yeah.
Somebody
Okay.
says they thought they did the trilogy. Yeah, the trilogy came to Switch, so it did come to Switch. The Vice City, San Andreas,
Oh, yeah,
and
the
GTA 3.
remasters.
Yeah, the
Okay,
remastered.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. They're
The
PS2
masters.
GTAs that were on the Switch, so maybe we'll see GTA 5 on the third Switch.
Like Switch 3.
Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
'cause
see
you're-
GTA on the next Switch. Maybe
You're
that's
thinking
what
that
we'll
it's pure, like a lot of it is also technology, just like true technology.
I honestly don't know. Maybe either it's just weird. Other than like the tech, maybe it won't have a powerful enough CPU for the stuff they're doing. But
Right.
I feel like they just super optimize their game for these two consoles, not even PC, and just deliver that. I don't know. I just don't
That's a
see
good
them
point,
going on
though.
a
It's
third
not coming to
platform,
PC
man.
right away. That's a good
It's
point.
not.
They do
Yeah.
they aim for consoles. I wonder if they look at this too. That's a good point, Abzi, because we now see the numbers. That was something Matt was talking about, is that the console number is not increasing in the same way it has before, and that all their studies are showing more people going towards PC, even younger people, because it's got even though consoles have Fortnite, it's got those casual stuff. It's got all kinds of stuff on a PC. I wonder if they're going to come back and rue that day where they don't have it on PC right away.
I feel like they're an anomaly, man. Dude, for GTA 6, I know at least 5 people who do not own a console who are buying a PS5 for it.
When it comes out,
it
that makes sense.
transcends. I feel like it just transcends market. What do you call it?
Yeah.
Like market trends.
Yeah, it's FIFA level where people who don't play games play FIFA or something.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Little leak here that says Assassin's Creed Shadow pre-orders look very strong. Don't have the exact numbers yet, but no one in the know seems disappointed with them. That's interesting because I don't know who that source is, but that's something that I'd heard yesterday. Was it seems like they're pretty happy with the pre-orders. I don't know about you guys, but when I looked at we can jump to Assassin's Creed. When I saw the Shadows trailer, I was really it was a CGI trailer. I was like, this shows me nothing. It took 2 other videos, and I think that that's Ubisoft's problem, is how they sell a game. So I'm glad to see it doing, well, because I saw the other videos and got impressed. But I think I saw Silver also saying that the CGI was just like, did not appeal to you at all. Like it didn't even help you with the story or understanding anything. Is that true? That you were just sort of let down by what you saw, at least in the initial?
I was disappointed with the Shadows trailer. Yeah. I think because I was hoping for, like, especially after, I guess, Mirage, I was hoping for like a return to like more grounded Assassin's Creed, kind of more in the vein of something like Unity. And this just looked like a continuation pretty much of the whole fantasy thing, where I wouldn't be surprised about at all if there were like Japanese Oni popping up at some point in
absolutely
in the game,
as a
and
DLC,
it started feeling like Neo
DLC.
more so than like than Assassin's Creed, or rather what I used to feel like was Assassin's Creed, but isn't really Assassin's Creed anymore. Like it used to be like an espionage kind of conspiracy theory game, and now it's basically a fantasy game, or a fantasy series. And I think Shadows is just going to be a continued evolution of that, which at that point, to me, it doesn't really stand out anymore, because at that point, it's just like Neo or Rise of the Ronin or whatever, like a dozen other games in that vein. And I think there was enough space there that they could have done something that was unique, and nothing I saw in that trailer looked at all unique or interesting or engaging. So they might still sell me on it, but with gameplay and stuff. But that trailer certainly didn't do it.
Dude, I'm telling you, and I don't know, they don't care what we say, and I'm sure it looks like they'll be proven right here. But goddamn, I'm getting so tired of seeing these CGI trailers where you're just like, this is not even a it doesn't show you even what's going on. It's just like it's all theme and flavor. And what you said was right. I hadn't thought about that. They could basically tomorrow say there's Onai in it, and there's like, you know, Asian dragons, and it wouldn't be that surprising because they didn't do a good job of showing you the groundedness at all. Instead, it was just like over the top CGI. Did you see it, Johnny? Did you see the shadows? What do you think?
I'm excited for it. I think I'm gonna enjoy the game regardless because I like both of those styles. I do like the grounded, you know, espionage stuff, but I like fantasy. I like Neo. You know, I like Oni. Bring it in, right? If it's cool, if it's a good game, I'll enjoy it. I think I've enjoyed almost every AC game I've played. You know, I've had issues with a few. But even Valhalla, where it was a bit more mixed, I still had a lot of fun with it, had a lot of good stuff. So I'm certainly excited for it, for sure.
Did you do Mirage, John?
No, I didn't play that one.
Was that because it was a character you already knew and returning too closely to the original? Or
yeah, it felt a little bit too close to something that I had already played. I didn't see like enough new in it to get me excited to play it.
That's completely fair. And Abza, you played a lot of it but didn't win it and liked it, right? Is that?
I had fun with Mirage. Yeah, I didn't like I wish they kept the voice actor for that guy because I really liked him.
Right.
I didn't really enjoy the story didn't keep me going, or the voice acting I found bad, but I enjoyed the moment-to-moment gameplay for like 20 hours before I quit it.
I'd like to know, people in chat, if you liked Mirage. We know that, you know, they're not going back to old for this. They're certainly going more towards Mirage for this one, as they've stated in the other videos. But I'd like to know, like, did Mirage capture your attention? Does this capture it? Are you a fan of Valhalla? Like, what do you like or dislike about Assassin's Creed? Let's see. Next up,
notable.
Super chat. No, go for it.
It's also notable though that this will be the first Assassin's Creed game where you get to play an actual historical character. Then,
yeah, that's the weird one. Is they've got, so in the past, for some reason, I thought that there was at least some connection to a person, a real person in each one of them a little bit, like a name that showed up in a document and they stole that and said, okay, we're going to build a world around this guy, even though there's no documentation around it. So I was proven wrong on that. But I didn't think Valhalla or Origins had that, but for some reason I thought maybe 3 or something had that. I don't know why. I think it was because they just talked about the assassins and they were talking about those being a real thing from the back in the day. So Haziel, $5 super chat. With so many Souls games released and releasing, are there any you're excited about? I'm excited for Black Myth Wukong. I'm excited for Elden Ring.
Of Souls likes, man. I'm excited for Elden Ring a lot, and I'm excited for Black Myth because they're doing something different. But I am so bored of Souls likes, man. I'm so bored. There's so many coming out. They should do something
hard,
else,
right? To get juiced up for another
same
Souls
ass thing, man.
Yeah.
You lock onto one enemy and fucking parry or dodge, and just, I hate the. I don't know. Dragon's Dogma was an amazing breath of fresh air. Like, you were actually proactive and doing stuff, and not just waiting for someone to hit you to dodge. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that for sure. Are any other Souls likes for Johnny? Anything out there that, because I know you liked Lies of P, you were doing Forgotten, you did Forgotten.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Lies of P DLC, which will feature, I won't say who, but they show it in the ending. It will feature another very prominent, fantasy character from like books and movies and stuff, that will kind of like come into the fold there. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. And I was just reading earlier that it looks like they have it programmed for later this year. So
cool.
Looking forward to it.
And is that going to be, so that was Game Pass, right? Am I right on saying
it was?
Lies of P was Game? So does the DLC come free in those Game Pass package?
I would assume not. For me, every time I got a DLC, I needed to.
That's what I noticed.
Buy it.
The base game was free, and the DLC was not, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I love the game's $2. I want to play an authentic Asian samurai. I'm out. That's weird because there hasn't been authentic characters yet. I don't know why people were so locked into that one being the only authentic.
Isn't the main character that they made a Japanese girl? I'm guessing she's
the daughter of a real person, but she is not a real. But she is not like in history that she's the daughter of a real
Japanese
character.
though, right? You're still gonna be.
Yeah, but she's not a samurai.
Yeah, she's not a samurai. I can see people wanting.
Right?
Yeah, because I think for the longest time people are thinking more along the lines of the samurai. What I like,
honestly,
I don't have
honestly
issue with the
something
Neo.
I would have loved, because we've had so many samurai games. So having a game that offered something different in that
Yeah. Aren't all the games coming out?
is
You're playing
interesting to me,
Japanese
and is something
characters?
that potentially separates it. But then you have like dual protagonist thing that worries me, because it looks like another instance to me of Ubisoft wanting to trying to cram everything into the game.
Into one game.
And yeah, and the game losing focus as a result, narratively or systems wise. I think it's something that's been a clear through line through, I want to say, the last 10 or 15 years of their games, of just trying to cram as much in there as possible, as many options, as many game systems as they can fit in. And yeah, it worries me.
Yeah, I'm excited for being able to go prone, having active stealth, destructible scenery, all that kind of stuff. But I'm also not against them doing Valhalla 2, whatever that would be called, if it wasn't as bloated. But I'm also would be in love with this one being exactly what I want. I think what I've come out of almost every game in history, other than very few, is that now I've just had to sort of go, whatever my expectations were, I have to just...
Yeah, change them.
Yeah,
or whatever, and then accept that it is something different. Or
yeah, $5 super chat from SBZ. AC Shadows received mostly negative in Japan. The Japanese trailer has 1 to 9 dislikes. Yes, Ubisoft doesn't know how to sell their game. True, they don't care about that, though. That is one thing that I think we have now learned, is that the global economy absolutely outmatches any kind of small economy. Japan, like, they may not like it. Doesn't mean in any way, shape, or form they won't buy it. Somebody on YouTube who downvotes something means nothing. How many times have we seen a trailer with 8 million downvotes and then the movie is #1 for like 6 years in a fucking row?
People have an
Fast
issue with
5.
Neo, like Neo having a white character instead of Asian.
I didn't even remember that. Neo 1 or Neo 2? That was Neo 1, right?
I didn't mind it. Yeah, I was playing William.
Yeah.
It was
it was William. How did William show up in Neo 1? What was the starting? Was he shipwreck?
He's on the ship. He's going. Yeah.
Typical shipwreck, right? You know, like crash a ship.
Oh, in the prison, right? The first level.
That's what I remembered.
Yeah, but that's back in England.
Back in England.
Oh, prison was back in England. Then he gets on the ship. Then
Tower of London, I think.
I don't care about like whatever the person's race is. I just if the writing is good, story is good, that's what matters to me.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they put it all together. I'm a fan of some of their systems, not so much a fan of others, but what's interesting to me is they've never come together I've found a game of theirs where I'm a fan of every system. Except I would say Syndicate was quite close. There's always been there's always been a thing I feel like I have to push through, where there have been games I don't feel that way. But in particular, third-person action games, there's something about those games where I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's impossible to get it right. There's just too many people, and you can adjust your difficulties, but pure mechanics wise, there's going to be something you guys hate that I love, or vice versa. So, yeah, it's gonna be awesome to see them try it and try to go a little closer to Mirage, because I think there's some success there. They got rid of the spawn or the 360 view. But you still go to places and can fast travel to them. So that, I feel, is a little, as Silver said, where they try to put one toe in and then they pull it back out because they say, there won't be any. But then you read and you're like, everything is there other than the spin, which is what we talked about with all the past times they've said they were removing something.
I was pretty disappointed with their, it's like one toe in, like you said, with their exploration mode or whatever that they've done in the past, where it's like they tell you where in the map, but you gotta like use your eagle or whatever. It doesn't change the whole game
structure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they should just go full ass either checklisty or full ass like Elden Ring Explorer type thing. Yeah.
Maybe they're just hoping people would just be like, okay, there's enough in it I like, I'll ignore this stuff, versus there's nothing in it I like, I'm not going for it. You know how you said Souls-like is sort of maybe they have numbers for this. I'm sure they do. Or maybe their idea is that if they go one way or the other fully, that's just going to be, that's going to be like a place where you get a super niche kind of gamer. But that's where you get fans too.
They want more.
That's where you get hardcore fans. For
everyone. Yeah.
Maybe in the future we'll have these games where with AI and the ability to machine learn AI, as in the AI characters in games, where they will be able to adjust things to where if you want to play it one way, it truly feels like the AI is reacting to you, stealth player, versus me as You know, how many games have you played? I said this about Call of Duty. They could pretend you're stealthy in Call of Duty, but the first time you shoot, you know that the game is geared towards shooting. It just falls apart.
And then everyone starts shooting. It's
and then
like
everybody
everyone
goes
knows where you
loud.
are.
Yeah. It's like instead of like one mistake and you listen, the moment you fire, everybody's like, "Copy that, cowboy."
Yeah, and then they know exactly. Oh, you're behind cover.
Yeah, and every single guy in the level is like, "We know exactly where you are." Yeah.
How is the AI in COD campaigns? I haven't played a COD campaign in a long time.
They
Do
are
actually
very.
upgrade
It's
AI?
very basic. No, it's
basic?
very. I mean, they certainly now have cover and stuff that's better than the old games where they move better.
Like flanking stuff.
It's still that thing when the difficulty's up. The difficulty is computer-like. It's not. It's not. Yeah. And if you
sucks.
or grenade spam bot, you know, especially prior games, a couple prior was even worse, where you'd put it on hard or whatever that level is, the hardest one, and it was just like, boom. It was like getting cluster bombed. You know, it was sort of ridiculous. It didn't make a lot of sense, and you could trash through it, I'm sure, but it wouldn't be fun. It's not made for that kind of thing. But there we go with the Assassin's Creed stuff. Hopefully you like what you're seeing from them. If not, you know, maybe you'll be excited about the Ubisoft Forward, because, you know, what if we get a Splinter Cell? You know, something from Splinter Cell would be nice. I would even like a mini game of Splinter Cell, 3 levels.
Just game.
Another VR game.
No, I don't mean that. I'm sorry, I don't mean VR cards. I just mean don't try to make a huge open world game, but be like, hey, here's something to tide you over. Here's the return of Sam Fisher, and it's just this little bit or something.
I mean, the Prince of Persia game, I think, does show what can happen when you just have focus, a vision for what a game is, and execute on it, rather than try and be everything.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Looking into comments, when a trailer has 0 gameplay, it does nothing for me. I think that. You know, I think everybody knows that, but it's still done for some reason I can't really understand. I mean, I understand. Well,
apparently it still works, right? Because you were saying the pre-orders were good, so.
Yeah. J.K. Richardson, a.k.a. Big Mac, says, do you guys think they have some Beyond Good and Evil at the Ubisoft Forward, or do you think they will hype that up before dropping anything? So we know it's still being worked on for sure, and then and that's what I had heard a year ago when I was saying that here, that at least at the time it was for sure still being worked on, and now we have some rumors this last week or a couple leaks that more people are saying it's for sure being worked on, but that it's very complicated. And the complications is they've lost directors, they've had a death, they've had people leave, and it just seems to be a battle of attrition. Is it as bad as Skull and Bones? Isn't that the game? Skull and Bones?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as bad as Skull and Bones, but it definitely seems like one of those kind of situations where it's almost like a vanity project and they don't want to let it go. I think Beyond Good and Evil 2 is also a beloved world, and if they probably think if they can nail it, it would give them another series, maybe, which is what they might be looking for. I don't know. Did you guys all do? Silver and I for sure have. I don't know. Abzi, Johnny, did you guys ever do the original Beyond Good and Evil?
No.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
20 years ago.
I had it on the GameCube, and it was one of my favorite games.
Oh, was that a GameCube game as well? That came out on the GameCube. Yeah. Oh, dude, Porkins or whatever his name is. I can't remember the pig. Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so good. What was her name? Jade.
Yeah.
Was
Jade,
and then Jade, I think.
He called her Shawnee. I remember.
He had slang for her. That dude,
had a very unique story. That game, man. I remember.
And the animals that were wild. People that were.
Yeah.
And, you know, there weren't a lot of. There were some humans, but it was like there was anthropomorphic. Yeah, but at the same time, there was not a hint, but there was that feel of like, you know, speciesism or whatever that happened. It was very good, man. Very good. But boy, I'll tell you, I returned to it about 5 years ago, and whoa, it's that rough.
Old. Yeah. And it's not normal combat and stuff. I from what I remember, there was a lot of stealth you had to do and weird stuff.
And camera that wouldn't control right. You know, it was that old camera. It was like Assassin's Creed 1 camera.
Those driving sections and shit. Yeah. I remember those and the hoverboard or whatever.
Yeah. But I hope to see something created from that. I hope to see maybe some word in the next 2 years. Who knows? Penny Dumb sent a long one. He says, and I've already talked about this on Twitter. I'll read it really fast. I'll say my piece. We'll move on because it is what it is. Basically, he was saying, Insider Gaming said they're going to do reviews, and they chose a review scheme that looks like mine. Buy, wait, skip. This way of scoring, they said, helps give bigger answers to the questions people may have about games. And somebody said this looks shady. This is Penny Dumb says this looks shady as shit. Do you agree? I know you described your reasons a lot of times about why you came up with your scoring, how it doesn't directly change compared to numbers and how you handle context. Doesn't it seem like these guys could have come up with their own words? It doesn't seem that hard to just copy and paste. They should have come up with their own rating system. As I said before, I don't copyright by wait for sale, rent, skip, whatever. I also don't copyright review. There's a ton of people using the word review. It's close, but such is life. And that's all I have to say about it. I tweeted about it as well because, I mean, I've never seen that many DMs on Twitter at one fucking moment in my life. Yeah. And I definitely want to say, as long as you're nice, I appreciate you going, hey, that's weird, but certainly don't be, dicks about it. It's words on the title of a video. And if you look at YouTube right now and you look at words on titles, it's all shit anyway. So whatever. Who knows? Maybe I'll switch mine to match up with Steam's. I'll say, what do they do? Very positive, somewhat positive. They have like 10, don't they, on Steam? Very positive, somewhat positive. It's not ambivalent. I don't know what the neutral one is. And then it goes to very negative and negative. I'll just switch to match mine with Steam's. And then the next thing up is PlayStation Life had a little article that said the active players for PS3, PS4, and Vita, that it basically a downsizing on console and the console market. And I'll load this up right here. This is from PlayStation Life. Half of PlayStation users are still playing on old consoles, not PS5. So I wanted to know what you guys thought about this. Sony Interactive Entertainment revealed in its recent earnings call that half of PlayStation monthly active users are still playing on old consoles. Does that surprise you guys that more than 50% it doesn't? Like, why? Because wouldn't you assume that they would want to get a couple of these games that have been exclusive and
like what? But I think most people just play FIFA and
well,
stuff,
I mean,
and
you have Horizon that exclusive now to the PS5.
It's not as big as
the
FIFA,
later Horizon. Well, nothing's as big. I mean, if we just say anything as big as FIFA, there would be
Horizon
no answer.
Was
FIFA's
as well.
The biggest. No, the new one was not. It was absolutely
DLC
not.
wasn't. DLC wasn't.
The Scorching whatever was not.
Yeah, the DLC. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, there you go. But you also have, wasn't Ragnarok also?
Right.
Wasn't Ragnarok also exclusive?
Was multi-plat. Like the PS4 and PS5.
Okay. Well, then I got that one wrong. So maybe the reason why is nothing is exclusive to the PS5.
I don't think there's a big enough reason unless FIFA goes.
I thought there were a few, but it sounds like everyone I mentioned is saying that it's not. So PS5 titles that are exclusive.
It's like
Ratchet and Clank, Demon's Souls.
Yeah, I thought there was definitely more than a couple. Final Fantasy Rebirth is. Well, Rebirth's one. That didn't sell well. So I guess that's sort of a Rise of Ronin is. Silent Hill, Spider-Man 2 is. Spider-Man 2 is a big seller.
No?
Spider-Man 2. Yeah. Stellar Blade is. Dark Pictures, Switchback VR. Oh, yeah. We can ignore that one. Horizon Call of the Mountain. That's also VR, so we don't care about that. So I guess there's not as many. So what you guys think is because there's not as many, even with the graphical upgrades, unlike us who buy consoles or buy video cards to get 10 extra FPS sometimes, maybe console gamers
what's
just
happening
aren't as...
It's like a reverse chain reaction where it's like, oh, a lot of the market share is still on PS4, so we're going to develop games for PS4 and PS5 when it comes to like Call of Duty and all those games. And so that's feeding into like them not buying the new console, and then it's going back
because they're just available.
Yeah. Plus the whole COVID thing definitely hindered it, right? The shortage and all that stuff.
True.
Yeah,
I think go ahead. Go for it.
No, I was going somewhere else, so if you want to continue down that line.
I was just going to say this goes in hand, which what we learned was that that PS4 Pro did not sell very well when you look at and that's when I started. We talked about this, I think, a year ago when we first saw some of the sales. It was like, oh, okay. I thought more people would jump. I'm sort of happy they didn't. What were you going to say, though?
I was thinking about a lot of the like retro gamers, and there is a significant contingent of them in the Sony fan base. Not as much as Nintendo, because Nintendo, people go crazy with some of the nostalgia there. But I know for sure Sony also has a lot of that with some of the older Final Fantasies, right? People still play those in the Vita or the PSP even.
That's fair.
And
yeah.
So I think maybe that's a part of it too. It's just a retro.
Isn't
Might
that
also
weird though?
tie into the subscription service as well that they opened, even though it isn't day one. But people might be waiting it out.
Yeah, and I think Abzi was right too on the COVID thing, because that's what we had talked about in the past was that people just weren't jumping. And you look at Series X and S sells more by a good amount. It's a cheaper one, and hats off to them. They've got games running on that thing. I just didn't think we're going to be anywhere comparable to what we see on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox. And in some ways they're not, but in many ways they're far closer than I ever assumed it would be when you see the big hardware difference. So yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the problem though, right? Because the PS5 Pro is coming next. PlayStation VR 2, Portal, Xbox is coming next with something, and Switch 2. It's like, then does this change your guys' mind on if Switch 2 is backwards compatible? You guys think? I mean, why would you? Oh, go ahead. Go for it.
The over 50. So I think a big thing as well is I just don't think hardware sells like that that much anymore. Right. Currently, I feel like there's so many different things you can do to game, and obviously PC took off since COVID. So I feel like people who are console gamers who still own a PS4 probably just bought a PC as well instead. I think I don't know what's gonna happen to the console market.
That's a good point. Cadiz, who you guys have talked to, he doesn't have a PS5 at all. He gets his exclusives. He's just like, it's 30 FPS, whatever. I'll just play it. And then he has a PC to play. And it's powerful. But he just
more PlayStation games are coming to PC as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, it's a weird, man, we are in weird times, dude. Some of this stuff is definitely, we definitely have some.
And those handhelds, man. Yeah.
I had not thought about all of that coming together. I just really, you hear the bloviating about PlayStation being so popular, and they are. But then that'll easily sell you into, then that means the PSVR 2 sold well. And you're like, or the Portals. And we hear, they're selling out. And it's like, what's in the supply chain, though? Like how, what exactly is going on with some of these things? And then you see the actual returns. And then the big thing was the leaks, I think surprised me. The data we got from the leaks, especially on Sony's side, which I had assumed in my brain was a little bit more ironclad financially. And when you see like them talking to the Spider-Man devs and you're all, whoa, what's going on here? We always say that they make stupid decisions, but it certainly seems like they, at least in some ways, somebody's looking forward going, we might be in for some shit for the next 2 or 3 years.
Maybe that's why they're trying to get PC players to get PSN accounts and stuff, and just trying to merge PSN into other stuff, because I guess they care more about the ecosystem than the hardware itself.
And did you see there's a dashboard, Abzi, in Ghost of Tsushima? There's a PlayStation dashboard. It doesn't run in the OS Windows. It's an overlay that comes up, and you can see like your PSN stuff if you have it connected. So it's like a fake.
Can you turn it off? Can you turn off overlay?
Yeah, it doesn't pop up unless I think you hit a button. Silver, have you even seen this yet? Gotcha. This little PlayStation thing. It's like a mini overlay.
Oh, that's
somebody was showing me a picture of it. PlayStation.
Or wait, no, I think it is. I think it's in the Ghost of Tsushima port, but I haven't actually used it in it, so I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it says it syncs Ghost of Tsushima's Jesus director's cut trophies from the PS5 version on the PC and back and forth. You sign into the PlayStation Network ID, and the overlay and the trophies will then become available across them. So it's like it's a tester.
That's cool.
It's a touch base.
But it doesn't copy your save, right? You can't continue your game.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that correct?
Yes, unfortunately.
Because that would be cool if you could actually.
I confirmed on Twitter that it's not possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Damn. All right. Well. I don't know. This changes my opinion of like what the consoles are going to do in the next couple of years. Just if we see this kind of contraction and we see PC just taking off,
Everyone
of use.
Go software.
Yeah.
Everything digital. Digitalize
streaming,
everything.
right?
Streaming's big. Microsoft or somebody at Microsoft just recently said that a bunch of updates are coming to the cloud. I know the mouse and keyboard is now being activated in one of the insider rings. Yeah.
Natural progression of devices is just getting smaller and smaller and smaller until goes away. Except the GPUs, right? They keep getting bigger.
Yeah, dude. Your screen will be this big, but your CPU on the back it'll be built like an accordion when you get it.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Johnny? Were you saying something? Sorry.
No, it is an inverse law that, everything becomes smaller over time, like the SSDs and everything, but the GPU is just becoming bigger and bigger.
What do you guys think about that, man? Like heat-wise? I mean, I feel like I'm in an impasse right now.
You don't
I feel
need
like
heaters anymore
you don't.
in the winter.
Dude, if I leave my PC on at night, it will easily make the room like a
Keep
noticeable
rendering
degree if you're rendering, just put a bunch of odd jobs together and I'll just render this. Yeah, I don't know, man. I was talking to Moodski, who was having some CPU cooling issues on his PC day before, and we were talking about what he had hooked up and his system, and I was just laughing at the depth and the size, the sheer scale of the cooler. So when you drive a car, your radiator is here, your engine is here, right? It's usually not bigger than the engine, but then on the PC you look at it and it's like your chip is here, and people have like 3 fan
cooler the towers,
420 milli. It's just a fucking home fan just blowing out the top of their system.
And it's getting to the point where you need like 2 radiators. Yeah, because it used to be, dude, with one radiator you could cool, your GPU and CPU comfortably, for example, if you wanted to, do a custom loop, for example. But now you're seeing like people with 2 huge radiators. It's crazy.
Yeah, and NVMEs are adding even more heat. Because I always forget how hot NVMEs get until I walk over to my PC and put my hand above the external one. I'm like, geez. Go ahead, Silver. Were you going to answer?
Yeah, just heat and size. I mean, the size of video cards nowadays, like the 4090, just the sheer size of it.
Yeah, and it's mostly cooling
Physically,
that's taking up most of the space, right?
Yeah,
I would agree. I mean, anybody in chat, if you have one of the bigger, like 3-slot, 3-slot, just sounds stupid to say out loud, but if you have one of the big ones, tell me what you think of it. But I would say, the cooling is. I mean, dude, you see the NVIDIA 4090, and it's
I have a
coolers
4070, and I could barely fit it into my cabinet.
Into your case, yeah.
In case, yeah.
600 watt fucking power draw, man.
Yeah,
you know how insane that is.
I do, because I blow my wall breaker if I have 2 things plugged in and the AC turns on. Yeah. We have
melting wires when they're not using the VHPWR or whatever the hell wire.
Oh, the special out on the PSU. Yeah. Dude, it's nuts, man. I mean, the amount of heat and stuff like that is starting to become. I mean, on consoles too. PlayStation, obviously gets really hot. I've not noticed so much with the Xbox. I don't know about you guys, but my Xbox Series X and S are actually quite cool. But I think that's just their setup. They also don't look as unique. So if you like something unique, don't get a GameCube, don't get an Xbox Series S or X. They're boxes, but you can get your Crown of Sauron, and it'll jet out some pretty serious heat out the back of it.
I mean, at this point, the 50 series is going to be just the size of a console on its own.
Dude, what if it's a case and you put your CPU on the outside of it? What if the GPU just has a PSU connected to it, and you're like, that's your GPU, man. That's your entire system.
It's an external GPU now, yeah. You just
I guess that begs a question. What are your guys' thoughts about new GPUs? You guys have, who's got 4090s or 40 series? So Silver and I have 40 series. Yeah. Abzi, do you have a 40 series GPU?
Yeah. Yeah, yep.
And then Johnny, do you have 30 still?
I have a 3090, yeah.
Is anybody going to 50 or the 50 series?
Maybe. I used to skip one generation every time, but if they, I don't know, if they introduce something crazy, maybe. Yeah. But it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be like, 4090, just got it, gonna switch it up. But I guess I can sell it, right? Resell it.
Dev Guy says something interesting. I have the 4090. I like the performance it puts out, but it's so big and it sags as well. Yeah, we are now at sag.
You don't have a stand? Just get a stand.
But he's just saying it's so big that we're now worried about the sag on
the sag of the motherboard.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think something's that heavy.
Don't they come with a little tab for you to like? Yeah, some of them.
I have a question then. So 4090s and stuff, I think they're probably selling to Abzi on the 5090, and that they know that people are skipping gens. And so they're
Yeah.
trying to add in their, DLSS. Frame gen's awesome, especially for
There's
some
no more
games.
future proofing, it seems, man. Like,
Right. Right. There's no, what was the old one? 8800 GTX or
I remember 980 Ti. I
1080
was like,
Ti.
oh, I'm good for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny
You're like,
was good.
okay,
Johnny's
this is-
been pretty good with his, but he paid a lot, when he first.
3090.
put out
I paid
3090.
more or less MSRP for it.
Oh,
Which is
sorry, I
still-
just mean it was a lot at the time.
It was
Sorry.
a lot at the time, yeah. But
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
overall pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
What were you saying,
I
Abzi?
I switched from the 2080 to the 4090, so it was like a really, really big.
Oh, dude.
big,
And
huge-
especially frame gen. I mean, I'm even jealous, when you talk about your frame rate with frame gen. It's
I don't
crazy.
even use frame gen except Cyberpunk or like the.
I think you
used
did
for
it. Didn't you
Cyberpunk
do it
and
for
Alan Wake.
Horizon
Alan Wake?
or Alan
Yeah,
Wake?
Alan Wake.
I think
160 FPS with full.
And
fast
you
rates.
weren't even flexing, by the way, but I could tell you had a really good FPS with RTX, and I was like inside, just
Awesome tech, man. I
Salty.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something legit from the hardware. It's probably something from the hardware. Is it something from the hardware that's stopping them from implementing it into older cards, or is it literally just
Frame
we're
gen
gonna make
itself, that is using some compute on
okay.
that is using. And could you
and they can't
program
release like a
could you program something? I bet you
AMD.
could, but it would be less powerful. AMD's is different. AMD's
Okay.
actually is less sample. That's why AMD's had such a problem. NVIDIA also is earlier, and earlier is where you buy into obsolescence earlier too. So NVIDIA's plan, it got out earlier, but that means FSR, they take longer and then they slowly catch up or get close. So it makes
Right.
sense. NVIDIA wanted you to buy their card. They said, hey, here we go. We got sold down the river on ray tracing. Like frame gen, I think, is closer to a thing that might work for some people depending on the game.
yeah.
That doesn't require split second, because there is a latency boost you can get depending on your frame rate. But when you look at ray tracing, we just all got sold down the river. I mean, that was bullshit. Like everything they stated, everything they said was flat out lies. And when Abzi's saying, "Oh, I don't use frame gen much except for Cyberpunk," that's the crisis of its day. And it's not even can it run it, it's can it run it with ray tracing, then can it run it with path tracing. And I feel like the edge of an experiment. I feel like the rat who only gets called in occasionally to get injected with something. But do you know what I mean though? It's like, it's not crisis, it's not a whole game. You can still play Cyberpunk, but if you want the real Cyberpunk, if you want this feature that we're gonna dude, I tell you, with ray tracing, we've talked about this. Some games I think actually look better without it because they were authored correctly. And so to get sold down the river on ray tracing, it just pisses me off.
I'm telling you, I don't know if it's the native RT, but just the Metro Exodus enhanced, even on the 2080 running at 80 FPS with full ray tracing with just DLSS on quality.
Yeah, you're really high on
they
that
did,
one,
man. Because it's magic, man. I don't know if it's legit because they made it like native to the game or not. I don't know what the fuck they did.
It's a different executable completely, right? It's a full different game.
Full different game. Yeah.
So let me talk about full different games and why a video card could matter. And that is VR. Because I will admit that when I had a 1080 Ti, I was running into issues. Then I got the 2080 Ti, and then I go to the 4090, and I'm like, no issues. So VR is definitely one place where, these high frame rate stuff can absolutely help, which is awesome. But I don't know about you guys. That's only one game, man. That's only a couple games. That's only a little bit of this. And I need a VR helmet, which is $500. And I'm blah, 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 blah. It's like, maybe, I don't know. It just feels
and
like
$500 is on the cheap side of VR, isn't it?
It's Quest. It's not the high resolution other ones, but it's the premier now. Quest beat out Index. Index is finally sold higher than the Index. So I mean,
so it's a console, but without exclusives to boot,
or a couple few ones. Try out Fallout 4 mods. Yeah, if anybody hasn't done those are amazing. So I'm going to go to these super chats that we've missed. Sorry, that was a fun combo. We were just bitching, which is always enjoyable. And I appreciate everybody sitting through my complaints. Danny Passion, and this is a passionate post. Danny Passion, $5. This generation of kids, them kids, are too lazy to learn how to use a controller. My 7-year-olds prefer touchscreen or watch people playing on YouTube. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that that's true, at least for some people that I know, where their kids, they're okay with the lack of fidelity in touch completely, and they would rather just have their
And
phone
I don't
in front.
like I don't like touch. I wish phones would go back
Sucks
to
balls.
tactile, like
So do I.
BlackBerry typing. I hate typing on touch screens. I hate it.
Yeah, I absolutely advise it. Silver, do you whenever you're typing in chat, you're always at your computer, right? You're not doing a lot of Discord, like let's say on a phone.
I am. I do a lot of Discord on my phone as well.
Do you actually like using your phone for that, or do you like the full keyboard? Or are you pretty adjusted to cell phone use?
I've just adapted to both. Like initially when I had to use the numbers for like write text messages and such on my phone, it was really annoying. And then I went to the smartphone, and that system, I guess I kind of prefer the touch now, rather than having to cycle through to get the right letter for the right.
Oh, you mean the old days?
Yeah.
On the old
1, 2,
the number
2, 3.
Yeah. And then
People were so fast with
you
that.
cycle
People
too far, so
mastered
you
it.
have to go
Some people
cycle back again.
Yeah.
Some people, not me. I
Not
never,
me, no.
But
No.
I've seen kids go like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
Morse code,
Yeah.
and they're all when Thok
exactly.
first said blah blah blah. You're like, what the shit? How's this guy doing this? That's amazing.
By the way, there was something funny. Reg sent me a video about some kids. They set up a LAN party for some kids, and they hooked up controllers so for them to play, because they thought they're gonna prefer controllers to keyboard or something. And the kids were like, "What the fuck is this?" They didn't know. They were trying to touch the screen, and it wasn't work. They didn't know.
Yeah. They're like, wait, it's not computing? Why I'm touching and nothing's
They're
happening?
like trying
I feel
touch
like
it,
I feel a
ignore the
little sick
controller,
inside, and I
sure.
feel like that's a scam, and it's just a bot trying to pretend that was a real day or a real
It could have been. It was.
I'm not calling question into it. I'm just saying
I've seen
I
it, man.
I
I've
wish,
seen it in real life, dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, but it is one of those things. Like, really, you don't know what a controller is? Like,
Or like anything tactile.
Maybe it may, and this is what we're seeing all these times, is that when we start to look at all these people using cell phones for everything and then they're PC only for other stuff, I, in my brain, would assume that they would go to the controller instead of the keyboard on the PC, because they both are imperfect compared to the mouse and keyboard. So and by the way, I like controller. I have no issue with it. I'm just saying imperfect, imprecise. It's a different kind of entry system. So the idea that somebody would be on their phone and then also look at their keyboard, maybe they're doing a wireless keyboard on their phone and typing messages in, and they refuse to touch their keyboard in front of them. They're like, fuck that, I'm not touching that thing. I don't know.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
I hate browsing on my phone.
So do I.
Man. Like,
and I browse a lot on my tablet. Go ahead, Silver.
It reminds me of one issue that I actually forgot at the PC port for Ghost of Tsushima that really has annoyed me with the Legends multiplayer, which is that if you enable push to talk for your microphone and you use a gamepad, it defaults to always on for your microphone. So you can't use push to talk if you use a gamepad in the game, in the voice chat.
Because it's always on. It's not push to talk. It's push to not talk, basically. Or nothing.
Exactly. It's just always on. Or you have to turn it off if you don't want to just broadcast everything.
It's probably
really annoying because I think a lot of people don't notice it, and so a lot of people leave the microphones.
That's the worst.
Always on.
Where they're breathing into the mic while you're trying to play.
Sally, come here.
It's not even that, but it's like just a cacophony of noise. Sometimes like atmospheric screeching and stuff constantly. A lot of the time, it's a definite issue, and it's a design decision that I really don't understand, because it doesn't seem like it's been made by someone who's ever played with the gamepad at their PC.
I think it's because the DualSense has the mute button, right, on the controller, like this thing.
Right.
So they didn't implement it, and then they didn't bother to implement it for PC port, maybe.
I'm still of the belief that we have a lot of fucked up, mistaken real estate on controllers, and some weird things that I would like to see improved, and one of them is like PlayStation 5's touchscreen is useless currently until we see, what. Right now it's just a big space,
true.
and they're like, oh, if you click on this side, it does this, or this side, it does this, but then you get into touch. That's really what it is touch. And no one, if you're accustomed to buttons and you touch, you know, it just doesn't feel as well. There's definite things I would like to use it for, and that would be not mimicking the start button. When it says scratch up to see your menu, I'm like, why don't you just have me press the start button?
Dude.
Like, why are we doing this extra
The
thing?
only thing I like from the pad is like touch the right side for like map and the left side for
Yeah,
like,
it's got the
I don't-
additional
inventory.
use
That's
of it, I
But
guess.
with the button, not the. I don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
with
don't like the
button itself, I can press
directionals.
it in.
I end up forgetting, like, was it right? Was it left
Oh yeah.
that I had to
Yeah.
do? And now I'm opening the map when I want to, like,
Or you're trying to
do
take
the
a
other-
picture, or you're not trying to take a picture, but the PlayStation
Yeah,
thinks you
now
are
it's-
because you're
Yeah.
like hitting the wrong button.
Oh, maybe they could utilize it for like something if they wanted to port Arma to console or something crazy like Tarkov or something with so many inputs, and then it's like, okay, do a semicircle for like checking your
oh,
mag.
God.
It'd be like
Well, Arma
casting a
is-
spell.
Armor, that is basically what they've done. I mean, Armor Reforger
they?
is on console. Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's
what
on
they
Game
do.
Pass.
That's hilarious. I didn't even know.
Red
that.
Dragon was console too, right? Yeah, Red Dragon was the Dragon something. There was an Arma that was a middle game,
Or
and
is
it was
just
pretty
Xbox?
console specific, I think. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. I think when it comes to how it used it on the PlayStation, I think it was like, did you swipe up to see the wind? Was that what it
Yeah,
was?
something
Like you
like
could
that,
make the
right?
wind
To-
blow again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it felt
Dude.
like it's like, oh, I'm pushing the wind, right? I guess like they wanted it to be like you're pushing
Oh,
it,
I see.
right?
Right. Okay.
I don't know about
Yeah.
you. I would always still rather press a button
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
than have to do the travel with the
Yeah.
the swipe.
I
And
mean-
the same goes for the R3 or L3. You know, they like to make you press the joystick to sprint.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
I absolutely
Not a
hate it.
fan.
Like very often, like even in Stellar Blade recently, I will press it and you can hear the click clearly. And
Nothing
it
happens.
still doesn't. And then you guess what? You press it again because you think it didn't trigger. But
Oh my
now,
God.
wait, no, it did trigger, and now you've stopped running because you pressed it. Anyway,
I hate that.
I
so
digress. It's
Yeah.
It's
Oh
all
my
cool to
God.
bitch about because this reminds me of me using our new microwave. So the old microwave had push buttons, and it wasn't
Yeah.
old. It was designed to have buttons. So it was like 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
and this new one is the flat pads touch. And I go, nothing. I don't know if I'm not capacitive where I don't have a charge, so I can't
Yeah,
tell. But
you
I'll be
don't
like,
conduct,
3,
bro.
nothing happens. 3. So then I'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it'll be like your burrito is cooking for 77 minutes. I'll be like, that's not
Dude.
what I was just trying to test it.
My biggest pet peeve when it comes to controller gameplay is hold to pick up, hold to
Yeah.
do this,
Yeah.
hold to do that. I don't want to hold, man. Just want to press a button and have it go, man.
Looking in here, Michael says, hey, man, I still use a flip phone. Well, flip phones are coming back. There's a couple designs from different companies
Yeah.
where
Burners.
they're, huh?
I said burners.
Oh,
Burners.
burner phones? Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the cheating phone. It's like, you know, if you have
Like
a
for
Yeah, you
stealing.
can
an
toss
affair,
it,
that's
you know.
the phone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
It's funny
Madison.
actually because the game that actually made me enjoy the press to hold,
Mhm.
as one of the few games was Death Stranding because of the way that game did it.
Oh, I remember that. It's like optimize.
I mean,
Oh,
if
that-
you
yeah, that
carried them
worked
in
well.
in your hand. If you carried stuff
Oh yeah,
around,
you hold
had
to keep
had
it
to
in your
hold.
hand. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was because you were grabbing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
I will say I have a feeling they're going to try this, and I hope it never happens, but that they're going to try resistant gamepads at some point and be like, we want, you know, they've already got resistant triggers where it pushes back. I can now see them being like, hey, man, we're going to do resistant thumbsticks, you know, so it slightly fights you trying to lockpick in Starfield or something. And I'll tell you at that
Yeah.
point, I'm going to power A. I'm going to buy the cheap plugged-in controller that looks like whatever, and it's just $19 and has nothing because all of those
Right.
bells and whistles just don't seem to really ever.
What if you have to
pan out.
lockpick on the touch screen?
No
You're
way.
like,
No way. No, I'm done.
Would you want pressure sensitive WASD for like movement? Like press slightly on the W to walk and harder.
So
and
you mean
harder?
a true analog? Reg
Analog
uses one.
keyboard.
Reg has an analog
Okay.
keyboard where and he did it for that reason. And I think he somewhat used it at the time, but I don't hear him talk about it because he codes a lot. He's not playing a ton of
Right.
games, and I
Sure.
would assume some of them are controller too, but I know they exist. I've definitely heard him and some of the other people who are big keyboard
Or
fans.
mouse
I
vibration.
imagine it would be really good
my.
for a racing game
It could be good for a racing game or a game where you can't
where you need
run
to
right.
like
and the quest giver
feather the
walking
throttle
faster.
because you can't do that with
you can't
with
do
regular
that.
keyboard.
Yeah. Well, dude,
Yeah.
if they do a force feedback mouse, which they have before, I know they've sold them before, and there was no software that
man.
used it, but that would be terrible. You know,
Yeah,
it's gonna.
that would fuck up everything.
You're walking over rock. It's gonna shake the mouse a little bit. You're like, I can't fucking aim anything.
But that would move the camera. It's different from a controller where it doesn't rely on the controller's position,
Also,
right?
Yeah.
Also, in regard to the L3, I've had the inverse, I think, more frequently than experiencing the issue of it not registering, where I've accidentally pressed it while moving the left stick and gotten the input.
Oh yeah,
while
definitely
not
have
meaning
that. Especially in games where it's a roll or a dodge or what have you, and you realize it quite quickly when you roll and dodge for no reason whatsoever. Yeah. Moving on from there, when we look at gaming here in the next couple months, I'm a big fan of Raving Rabbids, the Rabbids versus Mario games, the mix. Do you think because we are seeing, we're seeing some PC or console to PC ports and stuff like that, do you guys expect to see maybe Ubisoft and Nintendo doing something else or any other games? Because we also have Smash, or not Smash Brothers, but the other one. I think it's WB one that has a bunch of crossovers. I've always wondered if we're going to see more of those. Like kart racing.
Those came around a little bit, yeah.
I could easily see a crossover for Nintendo with something like Prince of Persia.
Really?
A property like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, Prince of
That
Persia
seems
would be
like
a cool character.
Nintendo. Yeah, it would be fitting.
That would work like a Smash Brothers, right?
Very
Prince of Persia
acrobatic.
character.
Yeah, for sure. He'd have his own movesets. Yeah.
Let's be honest, though. If it was Ori from Ori in the Blind Forest.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool gameplay. That would be
cool amazing gameplay in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
what's the other one that's like Warner Brothers? It's got Shaggy Doo, I think, or Scooby Doo, and like, you know what I'm talking about?
Multiverse.
Multiverse.
What's it called?
It is. I think, and it's the one that went away and came back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like the mixes, man. I was such a big fan of Rabbids. Like, Multiverse. Thanks, guys. Yeah,
there you go.
That would be awesome.
Multiverses. Right.
And here's the thing. One of you guys brought this up 2 podcasts ago where you said we haven't seen really Mario Kart stuff anymore. I would love, I'd like to see a mix of different gens doing Mario Kart stuff.
There's one for like indie games, like Super Meat Boy is in it. I think maybe Ori's in it.
Is this a kart?
It's
or
like
a fighter?
It's a fighter, I think.
Oh,
Super
I didn't
Meat
know.
Boy and all those like indie games. I think.
But
Is it Brawlhalla?
Brawlhalla?
Is it? Maybe.
It might
Super
be.
Meat Boy is in something for sure.
Damn. What were you going to say, Johnny?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I've been thinking about that we haven't seen in many years. Like this type of, fun racer with the, like throwing the banana or whatever equivalent.
we used
I
to get a lot
remember
of
we
kart
had,
racers.
I played a lot of Blur. I think you guys know
Blur,
that game.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
as
the
well.
racing game, Blur, for sure.
And
The
then
racing
Crash.
game. Yeah, Blur was super fun. It had sort of like realistic graphics, but it was like a fun racing game like that. And recently playing Rebirth, there is a racing minigame in it with the
true.
chocobos.
Yeah.
And I thought it was super fun. I played it every
Super fun,
race.
yeah.
I did all the race. I would love something like that. Like give me a chocobo Mario Kart game.
There is
could be
be careful
cars.
what you wish for because they did make
Square
did make a chocobo racing game for the Switch that
Was it bad?
bad.
was
Yeah.
not, like
The
the monetization
Rebirth one
for
is
it
better.
was really not well received, to put it
Here's the thing, though.
Mm.
If you did chocobos and you did Mario Karts and you did Sonic in a run, I would be okay with that if you mix all those. I mean, I would love to see
Put 'em
those.
all
I like
together.
I like the IPs. And I love the idea that a car isn't faster than Sonic, even though that makes no sense.
Or like a chocobo is as fast.
Sonic in a
or a
car.
chocobo is as fast. Yeah, I
Why
don't
would
care
Sonic
if they can sell it to me. The fact that Sonic is probably the fastest of all those things.
Yeah.
F-Zero,
I agree in that.
you got some hover cars in there. You grab some shit
Side
from these
note,
other games.
Side note, why could you drive cars in Saints Row 4, dude? Remember when you're like
What's up,
super
Slave?
fast and jump super high, and they're like, oh, by the way, you can still drive cars, and I was like, okay, what's the point?
In GTA 4?
I mean,
No, Saints Row 4, where the
Oh,
superhero
as a
one.
superhero. Yeah.
I
no,
never
that's
drove
true.
cars in that game.
I didn't
I mean,
either.
the-
I was cracked down in it.
The real question
Yeah.
to what you're describing, Carrick, is what's the point of Injustice when Superman is there, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They have to work in like, oh, everybody has kryptonite and
Dude.
there.
Oh, dude,
Batman
everybody
has a plan. It's always Batman has a plan. Batman's got a plan
Yeah,
for when
yeah.
his plan doesn't work, and that plan doesn't work, and then somebody else figures out the plan and uses it against him. There's always a plan, right? There's always
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Oh, we've injected everybody with a little bit of kryptonite, so when Superman punches, he punches a little less
Yeah.
hard so he doesn't kill Arrow. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Oliver, a random dude walking
it's
off the
just
street.
kryptonite underwear for everybody.
Yeah.
Superman just has to be out of the picture, or else everything
Well, yeah,
else
you know
is
why?
gonna fall
Because
apart.
all he has to do is bear hug somebody, fly up a mile, and drop them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
what if
true.
he can't punch? If he can still fly, unless you say, oh, the kryptonite means
Dude,
he
he
can
could
only
look at
lift
them.
himself.
Yeah, just look at them.
You
man.
could just look at
Laser.
them and like,
Yeah.
Look
yeah.
at their heart.
Yeah, it's
These are their
ridiculous. But I
organs.
love that. Yeah, what's up, Sleeve? Nice to see you around, buddy.
hey, man.
Reading some of this stuff, it looks like pressure-sensitive keyboards would be great. People are saying that the Trackmania gamers use analog controllers or analog keyboards.
Huh.
So that
I
makes
wonder
sense.
how that would work
Better
for
than
games
I've ever
like-
going to be able to make it work. Have you ever seen them
but for
play,
like
Johnny?
League, where like pressing it and have it be instant is very important.
Oh yeah, maybe you can do it so that as soon as you touch it,
Yeah,
a
where
little
the
bit.
Yeah,
one,
you could
so-
adjust it, right?
Yeah, one
Yeah, adjust
DPI
the sensitivity.
is all on.
yeah,
You know.
Yeah.
exactly.
You could
Um,
just like fleece it.
But
and
it'll
it
still
would...
feel like sticky, right? Like it's like QQ, you know. What
Once
I
I
mean?
saw
Like,
that kid playing Tetris by rolling the controller, and a
Yeah,
couple
what
months
the-
ago,
Oh,
where
yeah.
it's like,
Oh.
you're all
or a
right, we're
switch
done anyway.
that turns it from pressure to non-pressure. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
like a joy,
Also.
like now the new trigger stops that everybody
Yeah.
buys because they want to.
Oh, yeah, that shit.
they're too lazy
Yeah.
to pull the trigger all the way down.
Did you guys
yeah,
see?
I said it.
Did you guys see?
I said
like,
Yeah,
like
professional.
a month ago, totally mind blowing. There was a kid who he set like 16. I think he was 16. He broke every single Tetris record
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh yeah, and then the game crashed, right?
in March. No. Well,
That just crashed, right? He like beat it, quote unquote, and the game just at some point glitched out. And it
well,
was
yeah,
the end.
that was the one back in December.
Oh,
But there
okay.
was one here in March who went even further. He went to like level 200 and like there are, I think it's 239 levels, and he went to like 230 something, I think.
So close.
Before and it wasn't even the game crashing, it was just he died eventually. But
What? Oh God, sorry. I thought you meant he died. Dude, the way you said that, I was like,
Yeah, that was very final.
The fuck
Yeah.
up, man.
That sounded really
they
final.
stacked
Like,
up. Yeah.
Dude.
and he died.
Yeah.
He played and
Forward.
played, and then he died. And I was like,
He
Yeah,
was
that-
unable
that
to put more
But
blocks.
yeah,
into
he
the
played for
square.
like
It's like he got the
nearly a
one and
solid
then he
hour or
died.
more. But yeah, he broke every single record. He scored like it was part of a contest to try and
And then he
break 10,
died.
10 million in as a Tetris high score, and he broke past 15 million.
he got his
That's a high
lifelong
score.
accomplishment. of-
Yeah.
I mean, if
that's-
Sorry,
there's a
I'm-
way to spit yourself, to spit all your life out at one point, that's probably a good way to do it. You're like, you're
that's
at
one
the
way
end,
to go, you know?
You're
You
like,
just,
dude,
you
I did
bust
it,
out your...
and you're just like,
Dude.
just keel over, and
39,
everybody
baby.
remembers you for winning and dying. It's
And
like
the-
that's
and
all he
the-
was built
like,
for.
One of the really insane things was that as he did it, he like interacted with like Twitch chat, and he was like making
Oh,
he was making,
multitasking it up.
yeah, and he was making like quoting previous Tetris players and stuff. Like it was just
I don't understand
effort.
these streamers that do that, where they're playing something super intense. Like I see these Tarkov streamers where if I'm playing, I'm like super focused in, and I'm like scared out of my fucking ass, and I'm like, oh my god, is there someone here? And then these other people are just like, yeah, they're like mid PvP or something, or playing Tetris, and they're like talking to chat, yo, what's up, guys, and just like hitting headshots. I don't, man, these guys are a different breed.
Yeah, and
It's,
they've grown up when their brain was forming. They were doing it, versus you, who you were like living with the improvements. Their first gameplay is, like Gears or Call of Duty. I mean, imagine if the first game you guys played. Imagine this. If
Right.
the first game you played was Call of Duty, I think if that's your base, your skill level, is going to be much higher than somebody I mean, that
Gex the
seems
Gecko.
yeah,
Gex the
right,
Gecko.
dude. I was playing Gex. Yeah, you're a rocket man. Yeah, that kind of shit's crazy. Were you going to say something, Silver, before I read this tweet? I wanted to talk about something.
Just it's really exciting days in the Tetris world, because like the records are being shattered. Like it feels like every few months now. Like records we've thought were impossible to break.
I feel like excitement in the Tetris world is 3 people with tweed jackets saying like, well, Pip, he's got to level 99 and he didn't die. Is Mel still alive? But I mean, obviously it's huge. I've seen the videos and stuff. That it's really cool. But I love the idea of the Tetris world is aflame, and you're like, all 7 people were on the internet at the same time. This next up from Redfall. Thank you for all the support messages. Redfall developers say, we're working to release the final update. Update 4. Anyway, that brings revamped neighborhood and nest systems and single-player pausing and offline mode completely, so that those people who buy it
pausing. Hold
go
on a
figure.
minute.
Go figure.
God damn, that's insane.
Yeah,
That's
but
huge.
you know what? It's gonna get an offline mode, and I'm telling you right now, every dev needs to look at that. And I'm not speaking like I know what's going on. I'm just saying I wish every dev and every publisher could look and say, hey, we got to figure out how to take care of people. You know, if we do kill this, why in 6 years from now do we want to suffer an onslaught of negative PR in something we know is coming up in 6 years? Make sure we're prepped. So doing a end game where it's just over, you're able to still play it, but it's not connected online. To me, every single player game should have it if there's any online connectivity, which there doesn't need. But that game didn't need single player unpausing or whatever it had before. That was stupid. Like let somebody pause the game, and like it just doesn't make sense in a game like that.
What do they do? I think they just like build up the infrastructure so that most of the things in the world are server side or whatever, and then they have the client side thing, and they don't want to. They're too. I mean, not too lazy. They don't want to spend resources on doing both. Yeah.
Some games like Dark Souls, they do it by design, right? That's their vision.
Yeah, that's their vision, right?
They want you to be in tension at all times.
Because there are offline.
You can go piss.
Yeah.
I think that's the other question is you can go. Let's be honest, man. Dark Souls 2, 3, Elden Ring, all of them have places you can stay forever and not get attacked.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's. It's almost like it's not like they want you to feel like you can't do anything. It's just they want you to work a little bit for your moment of respite somewhere. They want you to like have to stress a little bit to find it. That's their whole shtick, yeah. And I feel like it was probably cool once or twice, but now that there's so many Souls games and there's so many all this other, and there's so many other things, it's like, all right, we get it. It's not as special anymore.
And others usually adopt the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's like, do something different. You don't have to adopt the same, like, oh, co-op is super convoluted and you can't really co-op with your friend, but sometimes. Like, don't adopt these things, or like the pause thing. Like, do something different. You don't have to adopt every single thing from all the Souls games to make a Souls-like.
Star Wars Survivor and Star Wars Fallen Order. Take heed. Abbreviated review says, pausing in it so you can reflect on your decision to play Redfall at all. I would say to buy it, but yeah. That was a rough one. But yeah, so anybody who likes Redfall, hey, all the power to you, because they're also adding in some different little modes stuff. They talked about revamped neighborhood and nest systems. And that, regardless of what else has happened, a crappy game was made. It wasn't very good. Patching it up, giving people that kind of stuff, and then just saying, okay, this is it,
If you guys could
that's
wave
probably
a
the
wand
best outcome
and divert those resources towards like a new project or something different, would you do that?
You mean instead of this fix right here?
Well, instead of committing resources to content patches and content updates and new stuff for Redfall.
No. I would make them do what they promised and what needs to be done in that game before I moved on. Because no matter what, we live in a world where people have memories that are aided by computers, and it will remind them, or a YouTuber will remind them that they're mad. And that's the way the world is. There's nothing negative even about it. It's just the way the world is now. And so you need to take care of your customer.
People will dig shit up, man.
From
like 2015. You said this.
You said this, but also, I got to say, hats off. If somebody does like something, they will also tell others, to the point to where you want to kill them, but they'll tell others how much they were treated well. And I have told others about how I've been treated well by a company and been like, listen, I had all these issues, but I'm going to tell you what, they made it as right as they could. I mean, you're dealing with them because there's a problem. So you can't really say they made it right. You're like, there was a problem. But there's something about that thing. We get it in the chat sometimes where maybe we're all bitching about a game that didn't do well. And then somebody's like, you know, that's right, but I got to Steam refund it 10 hours in versus 2. Where the company just said, you know what, we get it. And they break that rule a little bit, or they go the extra mile. That kind of stuff's remembered for a long time as well. It's just, it's not cool. I made videos about those. No one gives a shit. It doesn't matter.
Now that
nobody cares.
Like everyone's super hyper aware now that like the countries that don't have PSN and stuff, where it was happening for years, but now everyone's super hyper aware of it because of the whole Helldivers 2 thing, right?
Yep, that's exactly right. It's been happening forever, and now it's like the biggest of big things.
It's like a big thing, yeah.
Were you gonna say something, Silver? Did I interrupt you?
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, but I lost my train of thought.
I apologize. Well,
No,
let me
fine.
give you Mr. Sandy Toes for $5. And like I said, huge thanks to you guys. You know, it supremely helps the channel. He said, been listening to you guys' podcast for a couple of weeks. Love it. Makes time at work go quicker. Hyped for long.
Oh, that's great.
Or Wukong. Every time. Wukong. Yeah, I'm excited for that game, man. I think that's actually one I'm really stoked for. And also, I do want to point out, Starfield and Fallout both got mods that fixed a ton of issues. And from what I can tell, on the Fallout side in particular, huge benefits. And like they fixed that patch that they patched. So they patched a patch, I should say that. First patch had issues. This patch has patched up that patch. And now they have really good performance. I'm seeing a lot of people happy about it. And the same with Starfield. We had a bunch of people streaming Starfield yesterday. It's good to see those companies continue. And I guess that's sort of what I meant by that, Johnny, is that you never know how big your audience is. You know, so it's like you should probably just continue to support. You know, I saw somebody say, okay, you know, they need to call into Starfield completely. And I'm like, whoa, you know, it's not like it scored Redfall numbers.
I get,
we're getting a little touchy here.
Yeah, and like you said, even with Redfall, it's important. I think it's still important to remember that there were people who bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So to Johnny's question, then, like, also, I wouldn't want them to diverge to other places because those players deserve support for the game they bought.
Yeah. Otherwise,
no, I agree.
It's an odd multi-tiered Ponzi scheme, because here's how the Ponzi scheme would work. You're sold for $60 a particular game, and you're told it will have a battle pass. But guess what? That battle pass won't happen unless a certain number of people buy the game.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So instead of
and
being
then you have to get other people in on it.
I got to call up Johnny and be like, Johnny, man, get this game as well, because if we both buy it, then there's a higher chance of the Ponzi scheme, which I do believe that those are pretty close to this on some of these, you know, where it does feel
true.
like you can tell the support's not there. Yeah, it's just there's an uncomfortable thing that occurs in there.
You can't really go back on it, right? If you have the promise of like future content and you know, support and all this stuff, you have to, even if it turns out to be a shit show, you have to
you have to back up your shit show. It would be like me saying I didn't reach 2 million subscribers, I'm quitting, and I still expect patrons to pay or something. It's just like, what are you talking about? That's not how it works, you know.
You still got to do your job.
You still got to do your
in a way. Yeah.
Let's see. You know, let's see. They still sold DLC passes and abandoned it completely, so they'll have to reimburse people as well. Yeah, I believe that is the plan. I think that that's definitely the proper way to do it. They hadn't delivered anything either. And I think Abzi and I, a week prior to them announcing this, we happened to be talking about Redfall, and I was like, it's weird that we haven't got anything at all. Nothing. And then suddenly the next week, they're like, yeah, that's good. We're not working.
I mean, that is the big thing with season passes, is that they're just repackaged pre-orders.
Yeah, they are. They're nebulous because we know that much of it isn't. I do get that some people think it's all right. I know some people think it's all there, and in some games it is. For sure, we've seen that, but not all games. And there's a lot of games where they're planning on working. I don't know why they're not saying we got to put that into the initial finances, not the hope of later finance. Like, it seems weird if you're offering a battle pass and you have no clue if you can actually do it. That just seems, and especially when you're selling a pre-order based on a battle pass, how is that not illegal? Like there's something about it that seems really shady. But for whatever reason, we go after microtransactions, which I can look and go 50 cents for a shirt. For some reason, we've come to a world where 50 cents for a shirt is bad, and you shouldn't be able to do it. But telling me later I'll get something maybe if the Ponzi scheme group that I'm involved with buys as many maybes as I do. And that we all throw a fit about. I mean, I get that we throw fits about micros, but it seems like currently it's, about battle passes. It just seems like currently it's still more about the micros. I mean, why is gotcha games okay? Why is like what's that one game? Genshin Impact?
Yeah.
How is that not? How in the hell is
Candy
that not
Crush.
the same as all the other stuff people have complained about for years? I don't understand why that game.
Pick your battles. You know what I mean? Like when
Maybe
people,
so.
Maybe this is hindsight, but people were complaining about buying a couple fucking RC for Dragon's Dogma that does like barely anything, and then the Tarkov thing came out like a couple of weeks
Yeah.
later.
At least it's not 250. I have
funny.
patrons. That's what they
Yeah.
said. At least you don't
There's
cost me
levels.
250.
It's
Careful.
levels too.
250, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is the
Just
old
pick your
Tarkov
battles.
situation,
Yeah.
by the way? How is old Tarkov doing?
Oh, he is desperate. Nikita is very, very desperate. He's been tweeting a lot, putting a lot of polls, asking people questions, which is, I guess, a good thing. But he's just been like going after the other one, Arena Breakout, and showing different models of guns and saying they stole their shit, and they're basically in panic mode. I think trying to say they put out a new event, new content. They're trying to savor the game now that they have competition. I guess even though I don't see Arena Breakout as a real competition, I guess it would be, but it's not. It doesn't scratch the same itch as Tarkov. It's like a more casual.
This is like somebody
game.
getting caught doping, and then they tell on everybody else in a different sport for doping.
Yeah.
It's the only thing
100%.
connected is the drug. I don't know. I find that really weird to say, oh, the guns are over here, and you're like, yeah, those, but we're talking about your $250 thing over here. I mean, what are we talking about? Like, what are you trying to He's like a magician with one hand. It's like you're not going to get too confused when he's trying to deal you some cards. You're pretty much going to be like, it's still the one in your fucking hand. I don't know.
Man,
That just seems weird.
indie companies are the best, man. They never do anything corrupt.
They never do wrong. Nikita
Definitely.
is his name.
Nikita is the main
CEO.
head honcho.
Head honcho. Well, they've been rolling their fan base for a long time, and they've got a great game that's super enjoyable, and that all makes sense. And they took it for granted, probably. And certainly with the 250, I think that probably indicates, like you said, maybe some financial weirdness going on, some problems there. Sailor Mercury says this about Genshin Impact. My question was, why does it get away with it? He just says it gets away with it because of its art style and gameplay. But its microtransactions are as predatory as any mobile game. Is that how Genshin
They are
works?
in a way. It's also that it's a well-established genre, so people getting into it know what they're getting into in a way. And to be fair, they're not like locking any content behind payments. It's all characters. So it's, if you want to have a particular character, you can't actually outright buy it, right? That's the whole thing. You have to roll for it. So you have
to gamble. Yeah.
You have to gamble. Have to gamble for the characters. So that's the whole thing with it.
Am I going nuts? I thought, but you didn't have to gamble for horse armor, and people bitched about horse armor, and that was a purchase, and you got straight for straight.
No,
So
it's
why
full on.
So it's the same. It's just a revolving complaint, basically. We're now complaining about this kind of thing.
It's, I would say
Whatever
that
other
it's
people are complaining
accepted within the genre, basically. It's one of those things that like people have just come to accept it and even
People
like
are
it.
sheep.
Yeah, people. Yeah.
Hey,
in
wait a
way.
minute. What games do you guys play? You guys play League of Legends, right? Does League of Legends
used
sell
to.
you not cars? Does League of Legends sell you people?
They sell
you
you
could-
skins
You can
for
buy
the character.
you can buy champions, right? Yeah, you can buy.
You can buy
but
champions, but you can unlock all champions just by playing as well.
a lot. Yeah, by playing a lot. I think I played for 6 or 7 years or 5 or 6 years before
we
I
also
got,
have them all in
all of
Game
them.
Pass. So you have
you
all
them on
champions in Game
as well.
Pass.
Yeah.
Dude,
But the main
I
thing
remember
is
that. That was cool that they launched.
Yeah,
all
that
Sorry.
is cool.
Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead, Johnny.
No, the skins is the main thing where you go, you pay for a skin you like. And the other thing is they have a battle pass where as you play,
yeah,
you also get more like in-game currency and skins and different things that drop.
and they were saying
it's,
in chat it's a free-to-play game, which admittedly is. I do think free-to-play games can charge for stuff. I have no issue with that. That is something to take into account.
Yeah.
But let's just change the free then. What if a game is 0.01 cents? Can they now charge? Or can they not charge? Because what's acceptable? What if it's 30, 40?
I remember the first time I encountered this dynamic, and it was in the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer.
Can you talk a tiny bit louder, Silver? You were really quiet today. Or just
I remember the first time I encountered this particular dynamic, and it was in the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer.
Yeah.
Where you had to unlock all your stuff, weapons, characters, and stuff through loot boxes. And I remember buying loot boxes because I wanted particular characters. Like I wanted the Geth character. So I kept buying loot boxes trying to get him, which it didn't take very long for me to realize there was a definite problem there, and I shouldn't be doing that.
There's a certain percentage. Did you do the Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer? Because I believe that also had something to that effect.
It did also have that. And I played it a little bit, but I found that somewhat underwhelming.
Yeah, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare was full price and still had a loot box mechanic with weapons in them. Weapons had special stats higher than base, so pay to win.
I like games that have
I agree with
maybe free or not, that have regular content updates, but they also have cosmetics you can buy that are outlandish, but still have like good cosmetics in the game, because a lot of people buy skins and I don't buy skin, and they're just funding the game for me to get more content. So in that way, I do like microtransactions.
In a weird way, it's sort of cool when it's outlandish versus, anything else. Like when it's so goofy, it's like only a certain group of people are going to want this. I sort of dig that.
And it's a huge group of whales that do want it, right? So
yeah, dude, there's I mean, the amount of whales that are out there that are buying things that blow me away seems to be even higher than my initial expectations. Probably because some of them are coming from mobile into consoles and all that kind of stuff. But Cantankerous says, never played ME3 multiplayer, bought used copy and didn't get access to it. Oh, right. They sold remember they were selling like the slip to get for extra money to get into the multiplayer? That was weird. Yeah, I don't know, man. We live in weird times. It just seems a little picky choosy to me for some of these. But the free to play makes sense.
It wasn't that they were selling it for extra money. It was that they had the code for it so that it couldn't get repackaged on reselling it to like GameStop.
Right.
I think it was.
Or CD key. Well, I guess that wouldn't have been a thing then. What were you saying, Abzi? You were also saying something?
No, I was just saying, I was agreeing with you that it is very picky choosy, and I feel like outrage just when people are outraged about something, other people love to come on and complain and all that stuff. So, you know what I mean? Like they like going crazy on some stuff and not others.
Randy Pitchford is a hit maker. This is what Take2 CEO said. We've already identified many potential growth opportunities for the Borderlands series. This is coming in connection with the story that Take2 is showing a beloved franchise at the Game Fest, Summer Games Fest. So I was hoping, Abzi, he wasn't agreeing. I'm saying when I was talking to Abzi, I was hoping that it would be BioShock. But looks like it'll be a Borderlands. I don't know, guys.
Probably Borderlands, right?
What's our feel on Borderlands? Like, what's your brutally honest take? What's your brutally honest take on Borderlands?
I was always just okay with Borderlands. Like, it's fun. I've never like loved Borderlands. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you like Borderlands 2 better than 1, or 1 better than 2?
All of them are I mean, I liked some things and didn't like some things and others. Like I didn't like the villains in 3. I didn't like some other stuff, but I liked Tiny Tina's 3, 2, 1 were all like the same level for me.
Oh, okay. I got you. They were all in the mediocre to okay games.
Yeah.
Like playable, but not in some way.
I know 2 is better. Like I know 2 is better hearing from other people and stuff, but for me, it's just all like you just shoot shit.
Yeah. What about you, Silver? You were saying somewhat the same?
Actually, maybe Tiny Tina's I like more than the others. To be honest, I do maybe a little bit. Sorry. Yeah, continue.
No, it's all right. It's just that would sounded rather like surprising. So I want to let you get that out. Like you had come to some epiphany about Tiny Tina. What, Silver? Have you played? What ones have you played? Because I know you haven't played them all, right?
I've played like the original Borderlands, Borderlands 2, and the Tales games.
Oh, the Tales games.
Tales
okay.
of Borderlands.
And are you huge into them?
I wouldn't say huge. I thought the first Borderlands was okay. I really liked Borderlands 2. But I think they've kind of had their day. I think they feel incredibly dated today. Given the gaming environment we have today, if they don't find some way to evolve the franchise, I think it's going to have a very difficult time finding a place for itself.
I think that's fair. What do you think feels old about them? Like level design, the way it handles particular things?
In particular, like the overall vibes and especially like the sense of humor. Like it was a game I remember finding Borderlands 2 quite funny when I played it back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a game where the sense of humor hasn't really evolved, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's still kind of stuck, like a bit like Duke Nukem. Like Duke Nukem when it came out in '98 to Teenage Me was pretty funny. And then when it hadn't evolved, when by the time Duke Nukem Forever came out, it wasn't as funny anymore. So I think Borderlands is kind of in the same place there, where it needs to evolve, or it's gonna struggle, I think.
I think that's fair. Johnny, what about you?
I like the games, even though sometimes I think, like Silver says, the humor has, or I should say, a lot of us have outgrown the humor in a way, right? It's kind of like teenage fart jokes and stuff. But I don't see any reason why they can't evolve, right? And also adapt, you know, get different writing in there, kind of like shake up the box, do something different. I think as a foundation, it's awesome for a game. You know, they have amazing diversity for weapons. The shooting feels great. Movement feels good. They have fun classes every time. I know every time I play one of those games, I love discovering, you know, the 3 trees for each class and the perks and everything. So I love how they do that. And I think they can add a lot of stuff. For example, you could have flying vehicles. You could have, you know, melee in that game. Like there's a lot you could throw in to add stuff and iterate on it. We saw a little bit in Tiny Tina. They had a roguelite mode that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that a lot. So yeah, different modes, different things, shake the box, get some new writing in there. And I think you got a banger in your hands.
If anyone else agrees, but you still like old humor and things that just don't get better with time or anything like that, by all means, feel free to stop by my Patreon, because I can guarantee you that's what I'm like. I'm never changing. Yeah. When it comes to Borderlands, I posted that in the chat. When it comes to Borderlands, I'll say this: I enjoy the shit out of their ability to handle loot and the loot cycle and scene stuff. Very close to Remnant 2. I think there's some weird connection between those two, Remnant 2 and that one. There's something that connects both of them that feels good. Do you have to go, Silver?
No, I just had a major coughing fit. That was it.
Oh, was it? Okay. So you literally looked like something horrendous had happened. I wanted to make sure that everything was all right. Okay. Just checking on you. But I think the loot system was great. I think the shooting, you pointed out something, Johnny. No matter if I disliked the games because of those, it was like New Dawn with Far Cry, where I did not like the antagonists in, I think it was 3. And I didn't like some of the different stuff. They're still on.
Wait,
it,
in 3,
you know?
the
I think it was 3
antagonist. Oh shit!
No, I've never heard that ever in my life. I thought 3 was like the least liked of all the games.
Bass was
no.
the biggest.
Dude, I was talking about the Far Cry New Dawn. I said the
New
two
Dawn,
influencers. I was comparing that to Borderlands 3. Those two, I don't
Borderlands
like their
3,
antagonists.
Far Cry, New Dawn. Yeah, that's true. I agree. Yeah.
So, but yeah. So what I was saying was, I think they do that shooting and the loot like Remnant. They feel good. They hit that really well. But But I got to tell you guys, I also think graphically, cell shading is not a cell anymore. It doesn't like...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if there's a graphic technique they could choose, man. Oil paintings. I have no fucking clue. With shaders on GPUs, you can do crazy shit. But I do feel that doesn't entice in the same way as it used to. And I agree with you guys on the humor. I don't mind it, but I did definitely notice in the last ones that it wasn't... It was like, okay, it was sort of the same thing. It was... I don't know. There's something about it that felt
stale.
a little... a little ill-used.
I think also
good shooting.
Like one area I think they've really sort of fallen behind on that was so good in Borderlands 2. Like Borderlands 2, it was just like the amount of classes for that game from like that they implemented after launch, from like Krieg to the mechanist. Was that what she was called?
The class that they added after
the one with the robot companion. Yeah.
I believe it was
and various other ones.
Machinist.
That really increased the build variety and stuff you could do. That really improved the longevity of the game.
I agree with that.
That's really been lagging behind for like Borderlands 3 in particular.
Yeah, and the D&D one sold itself on D&D and Critical Role.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you could almost smell the desire to have some overlap there. I feel there's but I mean, I like cell shading, but yeah, that game looks basic to me now. I don't know how to describe it. In the past, it was used because I don't know if you guys remember, they have pictures of what it was going to look like. It was going to look like a Gears or what have you, or you know what I mean, more realistic. And they chose a great idea. It's a phenomenal design. But it's aged really poorly. I don't know what they can do. Maybe they'll switch it up. I don't know. Maybe they'll go to hyper detail. Guys, this is not going to happen. This would be the greatest day. Well, it wouldn't. That day would be good. I'll say that. What if it looked like Edge Runners? What if they figured out a way to animate smoothly? Like they figured out a way to draw like Myth Force. Have you guys seen Myth Force on Steam? It looks like a 1980s cartoon. It looks just like Transformers, G.I. Joe, what have you, Dragon's Lair, the old Dirk the Daring cartoons. It's a multiplayer shooter, dungeon crawler. It's called Myth Force. It is fucking primo. Unfortunately, the game itself does have some issues. Not terrible. It's just got some problems. If they did something like that, or like Edge Runners, imagine if they figured out a way to use graphic shaders where they can interpolate, animation to make it look smoother and like an anime, like what Johnny and, well, all you guys probably like. That would be great. That would be cool. I would be for that.
When you say Edge Runners, are we talking about the animated series, the Cyberpunk? Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Oof, man.
I think that would be phenomenal. Like if you and would also bite onto the popularity of that, because Edge Runners is highly popular as well. I mean, in that anime style, anime is more popular now than ever, right?
And that would achieve the same impact that they had when they launched initially, which was like striking, like, whoa, we haven't really seen something that looks like this. And now, like you say, we've seen cell shading so much that it's become
second nature or second hand.
It's not interesting anymore.
Yeah, if you guys want to see something awesome in chat, or you guys, Myth Force, even just look at it and tell me that doesn't, like, it's mind-blowing how cool that looks.
Yeah.
Dude, I wish it was a little more solid, but still, I almost, because of just the art, I want to, like, dive into it. That, it like, appeals that much. That would be awesome. What else do we have? Oh, we have Discord, and we have tweets. Twittertorums. Let's go here. We'll go through these quick. Fizz Viper says, what's one game you wish you could go back for the first time and play? We've been asked this before, so I might change a little bit. He says, mine would be BioShock Infinite. That game was fantastic, and the ending was a total mind. Beep. Have a fantastic weekend, my friends. Thank you very much. I would agree. BioShock. No. Wait. Red Dead 1. No. Yeah. Yeah, Red Dead 1. Mass Effect. Ooh, Mass Effect would be a good one to get all those skills again.
Would be good.
That would be cool.
Because it's hard to replicate, right?
Yeah.
Like the first time.
Yeah. You always remember your first time. Silver, Abzi, do you guys have any that we haven't said before?
Elden Ring.
Oh, easily. Elden Ring's a good one.
Easily. That's the one game I really want to forget to play again.
Yeah. That would be awesome. Imagine just tomorrow you wake up and for whatever reason, every memory of Elden Ring other than it exists is gone. And you got to play it again.
Give it to me. Yeah. Oh yeah. But like the memory that like I want this needs to stay.
Oh yeah,
I mean?
for
Like,
sure. Yeah.
I did actually lose all memory of Elden Ring. Hell yeah.
What about you, Silver? Got any titles? I know we've been asked it before, but is there any other games?
It's a difficult question, I think, because to me, like those experiences are so
tied into the time,
into the time exactly in which they were experienced. So like the first time playing, say, Operation Flashpoint, like the reason it blew my mind was because it was the game of that particular time. Right?
Yeah.
So you take away the memory of it, of me playing it, and me playing it today, that experience would be vastly
not
different.
The same.
So I think it's a very difficult question. Like maybe Chrono Trigger.
Damn, didn't expect that.
Like Chrono Trigger, like is the first game, like that and Deus Ex are the first games I remember playing where it really looked like the stuff you were doing actually affected plot. Like, wait a minute, I can actually. My brother, like in Deus Ex, Paul can actually survive the ambush or the raid on the apartment. Wait a minute, in Chrono Trigger, the trial that Chrono initially gets put under, where everything you do during the game's opening at the festival, like gets put under a microscope, and there are witnesses saying everything you do. Like if you went to check on Marl when you bump into her, or if you went straight for the pendant that she drops, and all these character witnesses to come up depending on exactly what you did during the festival. Like that game really sort of blew my mind at the time, and getting to experience that again, I think would be great.
Yeah, I would agree with in particular that the time frame matters a lot, because like Mass Effect right now obviously would not be near as impactful. I usually try to pretend like the question is somehow carrying all the, I don't know, the mystique as well to the new game.
The same experience, but like you would have the same thing.
Yeah, because Operation Flashpoint as well, to me, was a game I remember going to work in one of my first jobs, and I couldn't even explain it, because people don't realize Operation Flashpoint was so different and offered so much weirdness and oddities that trying to explain it to my friends, they full out thought I was full of shit. They were like, there's no game that does what you're saying. It doesn't even exist. What are you talking about? And I've never heard of the game, because the game wasn't it wasn't like Americana. It was its own side thing. And then when they saw it, they were like, oh my God, it's like a programmable engine.
And the really maddening thing about that to me was that then a year or so after, we got Battlefield 1942, and people went crazy over that, and I was like, "What are you?"
It does so much less.
Yes, exactly. It does so much less.
Yeah,
and people are not. Yeah.
Not Fizz Viper. I'm sorry. Dev Guy says, "Is there a game that got you into a genre you didn't like?" I think we've answered somewhat like this before, but is there a game that got you into a genre? Yes.
Persona 5. Persona 5 got me into JRPGs, and I never had any interest for JRPGs before that. But I'm not really into JRPGs. I'm into like really, really good ones, I guess. Only a little bit of them. Well, yeah, I don't know. But Persona 5 did something very stylistic. I guess it was the UI. I was never into like turn-based games like that at all. And I'm still not that hype about them. But what they did with the UI got me to look at more things like Tales.
Would you consider Yakuza
like
a JRPG?
Oh my God. Oh yes, I would. But
so
that's
would I.
Funny.
But it's the presentation that
all
I'm
of them
okay
are, not
with
just the turn-based.
Correct. Yeah. So like to me, I agree with you that a certain game probably got me into it, and Yakuza might be one of the ones that got me back, because I was a Phantasy Star fan, but then I just disliked everything I saw, and a lot of it was presentation. Fat, pudgy characters for years.
Yeah.
There was like 2 centuries, I feel like, of just fat, pudgy dudes running around. I was like, this doesn't look cool. And then you start seeing a little bit more advancements in technology, and Persona was just all art. Those, I mean, they really weren't doing a ton. I mean, they had really good presentation in battles, but it was really, you're staring at the UI a lot. And you're looking at numbers, and they were like, hey, why don't we just make the numbers look prettier than some fucking fat, blurry, some digits in the lower corner? Let's make it look like that graffiti shit that they did. And that was Yeah, it was phenomenal, man. I remember seeing that, and I didn't like RPGs, and I was like, "Whoa, that looks wicked." And then they said it was an RPG, and I was like, "Fuck that! I ain't playing that." It took me years, or it took me many titles to get into it. Did you do Rise, Tales of the Arise after? Persona 5?
Yeah, so after Persona 5, I did Tales of not Arise. At the time it was Tales of Berseria.
Berseria. Or Berseria.
Yeah, and that one blew my mind. I remember that was right before our first ever podcast, our first ever like Patreon podcast where I was on. And it blew my mind how 30 hours in the game they were still layering mechanics. And I was like, damn, this is really, really cool. So I started looking at more JRPGs because they tend to do that a lot.
Yeah, they were awesome at that. Johnny, do you have any that brought you into it?
Yeah, I think Ori and the Blind Forest got me playing, like platforming, that type of stuff that I'm not really into. But yeah, they did it in a way where that wasn't the main thing in the game. It was like you're saying about the art, really. You were there for the presentation, the experience overall.
Yeah. Dude, it was a beautiful game. Do you have any, Silver?
Yeah, but I think maybe I've brought it up before. But like the big one for me that brought me into simulators was Silent Hunter 3 back in the day, which was a submarine simulator where you played as a U-boat commander in the Second World War, a German U-boat commander. And it really was like an absolutely sterling game. Like you started out from port. You set out from port, and like there would be a band or an orchestra playing on the docks. They would play like Deutschland über alles as they were like tossing flowers into the water as you were sailing out. And there was like a 1-to-1 scale of the ocean. So if you were playing in real time, like sailing into the Atlantic would take actual days. But you could like compress time and make it skip ahead. And just the attention to detail with like the way the water effect at the time were completely mind blowing. But especially when the weather got really stormy. There was amazing audio design when you like sank an allied ship and you could hear it underwater, like the screaming metal as it came apart and sank. It's just completely haunting. Like the cat and mouse game with the destroyers trying to go down into dangerous depth where your hull might crush to avoid the destroyers. Like all of those dynamics just were executed so well, and trying to manage the crew and the build when you had to like pump out water because you were taking in water from depth charges. Like it was just an amazing experience playing that game, and that's what really got me into simulators.
I think so. I did 88 attack sub, 688 attack sub. Was that
right?
I think that was on the Sega Genesis, I think, and Abrams battle tank. We're talking flat, like 6 polygons to make the tank kind of shit. Yeah. Straight up. They'd tell you it was a tree because it didn't look like a tree. But I remember playing those and then coming to the PC and playing Silent. There was that one, but there was another one that was lesser known, and it was a battleship, and you were hunting subs, and I don't think it caught on near as much. But I remember just playing it, and the big thing for me was also audio. All my friends had back then. I don't know if you guys remember. You used to have to hack a fucking sound card to even. Like you'd have to do all kinds of shit because they'd be old Sound Blaster sound cards with like 6, kilobytes of data or whatever, but you'd finally get it to work, and I would hear the sound of the guns going off and just be like, "It sounds so real." Of course, it didn't. It sounded horrendous, but it was back in the day. The other one that got me into sports games again was virtual tennis. I think the very first virtual tennis, it felt good, and I remember playing and going, I feel like the ball's going where I expect it to go, which is hard when you think that it's a contained court and that you would assume the finesse wouldn't be there for that many degrees of like infinite space of where you hit the ball. And I remember playing with my friends and just being like, we had full virtua tennis matches with like people you would not expect to play a tennis game. And I got into that from that point on. And that was the last good tennis game. Yeah, I said it. Lost Judgment to me is...
The second one was... Virtua Tennis 2 was pretty good.
No, I was joking. I meant virtual tennis as a whole. We've got Topspin, which is just absolute hot fucking tier tire fire trash. Sorry, but that's the same game they released. I swear to God, they just rewrapped the executable. Some people are saying Metal Gear Solid had me in its clutches to get sort of get him into a stealth game. That's a good... Hey, what's up, Sleeve? Yeah, that's a good example. I would say for stealth, Phantom Pain got me to believe... I know it's not the perfect stealth game, but I think I was so burned out by all the other stealth games not doing it that I enjoyed that a great deal. And especially after some disappointments we had, I definitely enjoyed Phantom Pain.
Thief the Dark Project was the one that did it for me, though. Like, at the time, stealth games weren't really a thing, and...
Yeah,
Thief
they didn't know how to do it, and Thief did.
Was one of the games that came along and established stealth games as a thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Along with Metal Gear Solid, because I think Metal Gear Solid actually released in the same year, 98, as the Dark Project.
Would that be Metal Gear Solid 1?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Man, can you guys believe how long ago that was? Because we have people who were born in that year in the Discord.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Sadly, I can believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or when you go back and look at the old, you look at Thief, and in my brain, what I think of what Thief looks like in my brain, and then I go back and look at it, and I put it in the cutscenes video, and I was like, oh, god damn, that's rough.
I mean, the amazing thing is that the cutscenes haven't actually dated that much.
No, because of what they chose for their art style.
Yeah,
it's a very smart move for their cutscenes. Those cutscenes, if you cleaned them up with like a denoiser and shit, they would work.
The cutscene where the trickster gouges out Garrett's eye is one of my all-time favorite cutscenes in video games.
He's just got one of the best voices ever. Who is that, by the way?
Stephen Russell.
Stephen Russell. Thank you. That guy. Oh, dude. That's such a good time.
Yeah, also a staple of Bethesda, like in lots of Bethesda games. Mr. Cotsworth for Fallout, among others.
Oh, yeah. SBZ says, I don't like simulator games until I tried Power Wash Simulator. I get that. Indio says, Civilization 4 got me into turn-based strategies. Before then, I kind of hated them. Yeah, I get that too. I think Civilization was a little too, at least the first couple that came out were a little too in-depth for me. I think I did Alpha Centauri, and that was also pretty in-depth. What?
I mean, you definitely missed out on Civilization 2 with the FMV advisors.
I feel like that might be a joke, and I may not have missed out.
I did play that.
They had the advisors. They all had FMV scenes of them doing like lines and stuff, giving you like the military advisor constantly advocating for war, the science advisor constantly advocating for research. Yeah,
that's good.
It was very campy and very, very fun.
FMV felt both ahead of its time and completely already old the day it came out.
Yes.
You guys ever notice that?
Exactly.
FMV was like,
old.
I was playing Sewer Shark. And this is bad FMV. And I remember going, this is amazing. This is terrible at the same time. By the way, shout out to Under a Killing Moon, that entire series. I'm sorry. Those are classics. Big Mac says Lost Odyssey got me into JRPGs. Dude, Lost Odyssey have you guys all played Lost Odyssey?
I wish, man. I really want to play that
game. Dude, that game does it hold up now? It certainly is older looking. But it was so ahead of its time when it came out. It was weird. It just didn't, it caught on, but more of a classic status. I don't think it sold, like incredibly well or anything. But next
people
up,
love it.
Oh, dude, it's well worth checking out. So we got about Call of Duty. We talked about that. We covered that. Half of PlayStation users. We talked about that. Soulskeeper says, what's your proudest achievement in a game? But more importantly, what's your most embarrassing one? Like the most embarrassing. I don't get embarrassed in video games. I don't think. I hope not. I'm trying to think I would get embarrassed.
It's gotta be something to do with like finding out about like a QOL feature like 30 hours into a game. That's definitely happened to me before.
That has happened to me.
Oh my god, I
so
could just press one button. Yeah, or oh my god, I can sort.
You'll be in chat in whether it be Discord or fucking old X-Fi or something, and you'll be telling people, I just wish I was able to blah blah blah, and people are all like, you mean this doesn't work for you? And you're all beam beam. Oh fuck, dude. I've
been embarrassed at like not seeing a ladder. So like I'm looking for a way like how to progress, and it turns out that all the while there was a ladder on the wall that I didn't see for some reason. But I spent like, half an hour looking for the way out, and there was a ladder right there.
Johnny, have you ever looked for your keys, and then you look back, and they're there, and you think the only chance that's possible is if an elf an evil key stealing elf had taken them and put them back
gremlin.
because you know you
Snuck into
fucking
your
look there.
flat.
Dude,
And-
in games that will happen to me. I'll go into a room and I'll be confused, and it would happen on streaming
Dude, no
because
way
Abzi
that
was talking
ladder
about.
was there. No way.
Yeah, Abzi was talking about you can get confused when you're streaming. Like you see streamers be able to do. I remember when I was streaming a lot on the channel, there would be times where I would have to mute, sort of like make sure that stream was over there because there were times where people were like, "Why is Carrick not doing this?" And I'd be like, "Not doing what?" And then I'd look back and there'd be a door, and I'd be all, "That door could not possibly have been there. I did not see that at all. It was staring me right in the face."
Yeah, definitely.
Turned Off says, embarrassing for me was not scanning my Batmobile in Arkham Knight. Oh, the Riddler games. Oh, yeah. Okay, I get that. Something Cuphead. Yeah, Cuphead. That was... Dude, Cuphead was... That hurt a lot of people, man. I think a lot of people felt like Cuphead
Just
sort of abused them as a child.
Especially
Yeah.
those run and gun levels. Oh my god, those were worse for me than the boss fights.
In Cuphead?
Yeah. The
Yeah,
ones where
just
you just had to run and gun.
Yeah. I feel like that game was great and amazing looking, but it would be easy to overlook that it had some issues, which it for sure had. And I think some of that's like pacing, how it delivered some of its... also, its platforming, not as hard as that reviewer who broke it. You know, couldn't like jump to something. It wasn't the greatest either. You know, like platformers, we play a lot of platformers where they don't have the greatest, platforming. And that one also did not. Balatro got me into gambling. I'm now broke and addicted to Coke.
Nice.
Well, as long as it's Diet Coke, you're fine.
It's a plot twist.
That's
Diet Coke, you're doing fine. Diet Coke, you're all right.
And then Johnny wanted to talk about probably the biggest news of this year. Might be the biggest news ever in gaming. Tomb Raider TV show, right? Not movie,
right.
TV show.
So after the success of the Fallout show, they have greenlit a Tomb Raider show in Amazon. So does that excite you guys based on what we've seen? We've seen a lot of portrayals of Tomb Raider, haven't we? We've seen what, Angelina Jolie?
I just remember Angelina Jolie. I have no idea.
Yeah, that
2 because she was or 3.
Yeah, she did 2 or 3,
two.
right? And then we had Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, that was the one I'm thinking. Yeah, so she did. So there were 2 versions of her so far, I guess, on movies, right?
Yeah, and I liked Alicia a lot. I don't know. I think she just did the one movie with it.
Right.
So how do you guys view it as a show, though? Because you would need to structure it. It's longer than a movie, right? So it's kind of like episodic. So you would have maybe mini adventures, or is it just one big thing and they're, you know, is it just one big quest, do you think?
I mean, if you want to go for fun, I think it would definitely be the serialized format.
Yeah.
You mean like Young Indiana Jones? Are we thinking something like that TV show? Or is that too old?
I think not. I don't think Young Indiana Jones, like more original Indiana Jones, sort of harkening back to like old 30s, 40s, 50s serials. That ilk, like next week on blah 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 blah, like with the cliffhanger leading to the next adventure or whatever. I could see that being fun for Tomb Raider and a fun way to do it. Also as a way to maybe sort of separate it from the video games. I think that could work, but I mean, you could also. I don't think that would work as well. Trying to go the super serious route, the way the recent trilogy did. I don't think that would necessarily work all that well on a show format.
I mean, it's not going to be Camilla Luddington, who I like from the games. Right. I like her a lot from the games. Yeah. So because she's like, I'm sure she wouldn't want to. I think she's in her 40s and like getting out there for every episode.
That could be interesting though, with an older Lara Croft.
I would be all for it. I just don't. She's also got kids and stuff, and I think she's probably doesn't
like a
want
different stage of her journey.
I mean, we look at other action shows like Riptide. Now, this is going old school, by the way, so nobody's going to know what I'm talking about. But there were a lot of the old 80s shows that were action shows that did have a lot of swashbuckling kind of things that went on, even though they were considered pretty B level. But Riptide was one that almost always had a gunfight or something. Miami Vice, stuff like that. You don't have to have... the reason why I'm bringing these up is because I'm thinking guns, Tomb Raider, and then exploring. You could still do 30 minutes of exploring, 15 minutes of whatever narrative, and then a 15-minute gun battle and keep most of them interesting. That's for me. But I think right now, with looking at Fallout doesn't have a lot of action a lot of times. So I don't know if people would need that from Tomb Raider. I want it. I don't know what they would offer, but I could see people just doing watching her and investigating and shit. I mean, I just don't know what she would do to investigate. I feel like her version of investigation is my version of getting her killed a lot.
Breaking all the tombs and...
Well, yeah, because I kill her to find things out. Like, that's how you investigate in Tomb Raider. You don't do much investigating. You do puzzles, right?
And then you escape as the temple
and then
collapses.
You escape. Yeah, how many temples are going to collapse before somebody says, this chick is dangerous for temples. We can't have her going into them anymore. I don't know. I want to see it.
Well, that's part of the fun, though. Yeah. Those serialized...
What was the one that was pre-Indiana Jones? With he had the same hat and everything. Solomon's Mines? Wasn't that what it was called? The 1980s movie? Like something of Solomon's Mines? And it was very close to Indiana Jones?
You mean, the one that they tried to kind of Indiana Jones copycat it was one with Michael Douglas romancing the stone.
Oh, romancing the stone and Jewel of the Nile were fucking phenomenal. If they figured out a way to do that, I'd watch that. You could de-age Michael
and Danny
Douglas
DeVito.
Danny DeVito. Those were good movies. Good movies. What about Tomb Raider excites you though, Johnny? Just because it's a game you love, or are you genuinely interested?
I like the character. I like the adventure stuff. I have a hope that they return to a bit more of a like episodic adventure rather than one big, because there has been this movement in TV shows which is away from the freak of the week type setup towards now there's only the overarching plot and that takes place over 8 or 10 episodes and that's the show. I actually would want somewhere in the middle where we have more of an episodic thing where maybe each episode is a small adventure. That's why I liked Mandalorian, because it kind of had that a little bit. I enjoyed that aspect of returning to it and having like a fresh adventure with the same characters and having some progression.
Like a procedural show. Like a show I really enjoyed with that format was Burn Notice. That was a really guilty pleasure of mine.
Leverage would probably be close in a non-action way.
Yeah,
in a non-action. Next up, Twitter question. Senor Savage. Yo, y'all have a good weekend. Is there a time of day you prefer to play games? I guess you could say in a life without obligations. I used to be Zen as F playing Red Dead Redemption early in the morning.
Oh, yeah, early in the morning is fun.
Early in the mornings, I personally feel my brain is more alive for if it's like not just action. Late night is more for, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, just it depends on the game. Like if it's a horror game, like if I'm playing Phasmophobia, a night is definitely preferable.
I got you. Nobody can be scared in the morning. Sorry, it doesn't work as well. You wake up, you're smelling bacon and eggs, and Freddy comes in. You're like, come back at 12 tonight. That'll be scary. But it's not. Let's see. Hey, ACG, which non-Steam Deck portable should I buy? It's not available in South Africa. This is Foom. There's about 55 of them. It would depend on the amount of money you want to spend. But there's Odin's released one. I don't know if it's good or not. I wouldn't get a ROG Ally right now with all the shit they're going through. But I mean, I don't even know if I would tell you to get one right now unless you know what you want, because it's money. It's like frivolous. It's not frivolous. It's a luxury, and I can certainly suggest you check out the Steam Deck, check out the One X Player Pro. Maybe they're really expensive. Check out the Legion, but unless you're ready to buy, which also means you probably know, I don't know if I would suggest one right now because we're seeing a bunch of new stuff coming out soon. Feels like video cards in the middle of their gen when you just get your 4080 and they're like 4090 Ti, the same price and 20% more performance.
Yeah. There's that new MSI one that made like a big flop into the market, like
bro, man.
just like a wet fish.
Dude, yeah, it's like Tom Brady making a tackle, just tossed out into nothingness, just a lazy dead body of a handheld. Def Ego says, will you be visiting Starfield after the update? What did you think of the difficulty settings tying down with experience gain? So I love this. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I like this in games where you choose the difficulty settings, and Starfield now has a shit ton. How much ammo weighs, all kinds of crazy stuff, and you get a little bit more or a little bit less experience when you go up or down from 0, from whatever the default state is. So they added that, and I played it last night, and I'm enjoying it, for what it is. Obviously, it does have issues, but I distinctly love the shooting, and I like testing these big patches, which this one is. But I do like the experience gain kind of thing. I don't know. Have you guys ever seen that in some? Sniper Elite does this. Sniper Elite, the different Sniper Elite series, where you can sort of choose the difficulty, and it'll, you can tell the rewards go up or down.
Phasmophobia allows you to pretty much completely customize the difficulty down to like setting the exact speed of the ghost, speed rate on the ghosts.
Oh, wow.
And then depending on whether you adjust it in your favor or against your favor, you'll get like more money or less money.
Right. I like that. Yeah. I think that's awesome, man. I do believe, just so you guys know, I don't think any of you guys play it right now, but I do, that they did unfortunately remove the generic difficulties, meaning it no longer has an easy, medium, hard. It's got like an easy set of settings, a medium set of settings, and sort of a hard. And I'm not quite sure. I think that's the best plan, but I heard that and didn't check that myself. But two of our people in the stream were bitching about that last night, that they would like to have left it on whatever they'd played prior, right, and just move forward. Squatter Nut Bush says, 2 questions. Any musing on Xbox and how they chose to market titles? Obviously, budget is relevant, but HB2 was a big reveal. This is next-gen title, and now crickets. X-Gen 2. Any musings on how they chose to market titles? Obviously, budget is relevant. HB2 was a bit... Oh, this goes to that... Were you guys in here? It might have just been me and Absy. Somebody was saying that because they didn't see any commercials for Hellblade 2, it meant there was no marketing. And the marketing, I think Absy and I talked about this. We were talking about, like, why put HB2 in a subway if you can just pay a streamer to stream it, prior and be like, see if people like it that way? Yeah, I think
that's the new, like, commonplace for, PR. Is
and
like
YouTube
getting the word
ads.
out more effective. Yeah, I think you get much more return on your bucks than, like you were saying, having a billboard or something.
Yeah, and I think that,
obviously, that also depends on the game. Where with something like something on the scale of like Grand Theft Auto, like we talked about before, like that's the kind of thing you would put on a billboard for marketing.
Yeah. Not only that, Silver, Grand Theft Auto creates its own hype that then feeds off the new hype, which feeds off the old hype, and it where Hellblade probably isn't
it's
that
so
hype
big that
worthy.
It generates.
So I could see. I don't count. The thing is when I don't see something, I don't immediately assume no one's seeing it. And so I did do that when I first read somebody was complaining about Hellblade, and then saw somebody had said they saw an ad on YouTube right that same time for it. I'm like, I don't know what's going on or how they do their stuff. Should we be seeing more about Hellblade 2? Yeah. I mean, you should, I guess. I don't know where I would see an ad for Hellblade 2, personally, because my Twitter is curated now to remove, like, bullshit chaff. Reddit? Does Reddit do ads?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. A lot of us don't see ads.
They do ads? Okay, yeah. Dude, we have ad. You got an ad blocker?
Because,
guess what you're not going to see ads
maybe
for?
You pay premium to not have ads, or you have ad block, right? There's so many ways. I think a lot of people don't see ads. Really, like, I don't see ads.
Really? I think maybe then the next bet would be, why not 3 weeks ago did they not have a streamer preview it, maybe? Or previews of it? And that could be anything.
Previews, I think previews in particular is something that I haven't really seen.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen previews. I haven't looked because I assumed I was going to get review code, and if I didn't, assumed I was going to play it and see what I thought anyway.
And even for reviews, you mentioned the embargo is like the same day
Yeah, there's always been this big, and
So it's
true
like
on both sides,
there's
but there's
not
been
a lot out there about.
Yeah,
the
the
game
story.
itself.
I think there's a
Yeah.
huge issue with story games that there's no. By the way, there's not a lot of preview Telltale games for a reason. Because if you
Yeah.
preview 30 minutes, that person just lost 30 minutes of gameplay if they watch any of the preview. So
True.
it's Hellblade is a weird beast, man. Because like and I'm talking about one. I can't talk about two and I am reviewing it. But if you look at Hellblade, it's like, yes, you have battles in the games, but a lot of it is that story, and that story might be the same in some places for some people. And so I don't know how much you can. I don't know what you would do. It would be a weird one. I would have somebody preview it for like 10. If I ran the world, maybe 2 or 3 big channels, maybe IGN. Maybe that's where IGN would come into play. Let them preview it for 10 minutes. Do some articles. Tell them they can't take pictures. Something like that. But yeah, that's a weird one. I'm sorry. That's a little bit above my pay grade there, buddy. That one, because I don't know what ads aren't out there. And then last, has anybody played? He says Belvedek, Felvidek, Belvedek. That sounds like it's a joke, and he's teasing us. And that's like, I'm going to look it up, and it'll be like 2 girls, 1 cup.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. I'm
ring a
afraid
bell.
to Google
Yeah,
it.
I think I heard it. I heard about it, but I haven't played it.
You've heard of it?
Unfortunately.
I haven't even heard of it.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, then we'll get to super chats. Stephen East says, budget's ballooning. Do you think could be poor management and game directions as time is money and so many examples of long development, but only a fraction of being productive? Okay, this has got just got a couple spelling errors here. So Stephen says, I'm going to read this He says he wants to, I think he's just saying a statement, wants to sort of talk about it. Budget's ballooning. Do you think it could be poor management and game direction as time is money, and so many examples of long development time, but only a fraction of it being productive? I cannot imagine the game we got with Suicide Squad was being made for 9 years. Okay, I see what you're saying. So he's saying budgets are ballooning. Does it all have to do with tech, or are they hiding the fact that maybe a lot of these games are poorly managed? Like
I think a lot of them. I don't think there's any doubt that a lot of these projects are extremely poorly managed. I think something like
Redfall.
No,
Thieves,
the
Suicide
Ubisoft
Squad.
pirate game.
Skull and Bones.
Skull and
My
Bones,
friend, Skull
yeah.
and Bones, best game this year.
Quite clearly, very poorly managed as a project.
Yeah.
I think from a management perspective, I think there is a lot of. I mean, we've heard, I think, from a lot of developers about management that comes from outside.
Yes, we have.
Of video games that are basically just executives coming in. And I think that plays a part. But to the point of like generalizing, I think that's difficult because I think every one of these projects is unique with a unique variety of factors that plays into them. But I definitely do think mismanagement has been a frequent issue.
Can I also add, I think that management across the COVID, non-COVID situation has probably never, ever been experienced by any team ever or anything like it. And we probably have a lot of mistakes that maybe we won't hear about for years, but where situations where I'm sure some company said it can't be that bad. It won't get that bad. It won't get that bad. And then when it went bad, you're stuck going, what do we do? And then it takes you a while to get prepped, where some companies were already working remote and maybe things were a little bit easier. So, dude, I know I wouldn't want, I know Johnny was managing during COVID, and then so was Reg. And just talking to them and their remote workers was like, oh, damn. And they knew what was going, they were already working from home and they were seeing issues, even just because maybe their managers weren't. And so they had to figure out a place to go. So that's a pretty big situation. I didn't know Suicide Squad was 9 years. Did you guys?
Damn.
I didn't know it was 9 years of full development. Oof. He might be saying 9 years. Was it 9 years since it was announced, or was it 9 years since the other game came out? Because there's huge differences between those two. But 9 years for Suicide Squad seems like a long time. Seems about 9.5 years too many. And then last question, Chris Beatty says, what's your favorite game of this year so far? So the game that stuck with you or you have enjoyed this year the most?
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Dragon's Dogma 2? Really? Above... Well, yeah, because there's really not... What are some of the other...
And, Rebirth and Infinite Wealth and Dragon's Dogma 2 are the ones I like the most. And out of those, Dragon's Dogma 2 is the one I like the most.
That's fair. Yeah, I can see that. What about you, Johnny?
It's got to be Rebirth in terms of like sticking with me and time spent and enjoyment and stuff.
That's awesome. What about you, Silver?
Probably Dragon's Dogma 2 as well. Yeah. I mean, I do have. I mean, I have to admit, I still play. It isn't really a game from this year, but I didn't play it until this year. But Kill the Crows, like I find that game completely addictive.
Yeah, there's a lot of different games that came out this year, but I would say definitely Dragon's Dogma 2. Rebirth is fantastic and such a step up. And Infinite Wealth I didn't get to play. Not as much as these guys. And I got to tell you, I've very rarely in my life had that much fun watching people play a game. In my life. Fun. It was beyond belief interesting because I saw people playing the same sections and the fullness of the options in Infinite Wealth are mind-blowing. But I didn't experience it, so I can't say if I would have enjoyed that. But I can tell you, Dragon's Dogma is pure balls fun. Like, it is just ridiculous. And it's got its issues, but the thing that matters to me is fun. Somebody else mentioned Pacific Drive, and I will say for impact and surprise, Pacific Drive is right up there, man. Pacific Drive is completely just absolutely stunning to see what they can do with that game. And it got me back into, survival. It fooled me with car doors. It replaced trees with car doors, and I was that easily lied to. And I completely jumped back into survival like a jackass. What else do we got before that? Any other stuff you guys are doing that's cool this weekend? Anybody going to do anything? Like any music festivals, Absy?
Ended, basically. No, I had a good night last night. My friend performed. I like DJ'd at a thing. Saw him, had a date, went really, really well. Really well. For once in a long time. I've had terrible dates for a while. So
without getting really crass or anything, what's a terrible date?
No,
just uncomfortable and not enjoying the time?
Boring. Not enjoying conversations and stuff. But this one was really good. She liked games, not like the popular ones. Like she knew God of War and Tsushima and all that stuff. So that was like a plus.
That's cool, man.
And very good conversations and stuff. It was very enjoyable.
Trying to think. Let's see. What about you, Johnny? I'm trying to come up with one. Anything cool this weekend?
Nothing too special. My mom and dad got a new place, so I'm probably gonna go visit them, hang out with them a little bit. Nothing too special. Play some music, play some games.
Do you feel like? Do you plan stuff for the weekend? Do you feel like this is a good weekend when there isn't something special? Do you truly treat your weekends like I don't need to fill them? I'm cool with. Yeah,
I like the empty space and like see what I want to do in the end. And I'm an introvert, so a lot of it is just, staying home and doing stuff, whether it's, playing music or enjoying a video game or watching something or working out a bit. But it's all like mostly at home, probably. So yeah,
I do love that you and your family actually have a term for like when you've had enough of one another.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that.
And yeah, the when I become a pumpkin, I'm like, I'm full pumpkin. I know it's not a good analogy, by the way, because it's like the pumpkin is the carriage, right? It's not the person. But the carriage turns into a pumpkin at midnight, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the idea with it.
Yeah.
Silver, you do anything cool for the weekend? Anybody in chat as well? Go ahead, Silver. Any cool stuff?
I might head in and watch a movie at the theater called Hammerskjold, a Danish movie about an old UN Secretary General, Dag Hammarskjold, who was Norwegian. and the General Secretary of the United Nations at a very tumultuous time for the organization. It's gotten pretty decent reviews, so I'm really interested in seeing it. I just haven't really found the opportunity yet, so hoping to do it this weekend.
Yeah, I've had a hard time finding movies in the theater to even be excited about going to. Like Dune somewhat, but
I did see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes this week.
Oh, was that good?
I thought it was fine. It wasn't as good as the previous three, which I really, really liked. But it was fine.
You didn't sell me on it at all.
Yeah,
I
it was fine.
I know.
And that wasn't your fault. I'm saying I need to be sold on a movie to go to
the effects are as good as ever. I will say the special effects, like the motion capture for the apes and everything, still brilliant. But the character work and the story, I felt really were really underwhelming compared to the previous three.
Yeah, got you there. And I'm doing. I'm replanting a tree because somehow somebody put a tree in the wrong place, which I just didn't think was humanly possible, but it has happened. So now I have to go out and plant the tree and move the tree so I can plant the tree again, which sucks balls. Yeah.
Weekend plan.
Dude, I have no clue how this all came about, but I walked out into my backyard and it's a tree in the center of the backyard. Where you can't see off the deck. It's just a tree, and it's not their fault. It's planning. It's family members involved where they weren't. They were standing in the wrong places to identify. But I walked out there and I looked and I was like, "What?" And by the way, it's not a small tree. It's 12 feet tall. Guess how big they get? 65 feet tall.
How fast?
Very fast. They're a very fast tree, and it's a dug up mature tree where they do the scoop and they wrap it and they drive it over. And so I don't know how deep this thing is, but I have a feeling it's gonna be a ass busting weekend.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, it's life. It's nobody's fault. I wanted to pour out a tree and I wanted it replaced, so I was like, oh, okay, let's replace the tree. I guess I should have been like in the same fucking place, please. And that's not what happened. So yeah. That sucks balls. Because I don't know if you guys have ever like sat and really, unless you're a ditch digger, if you haven't dug a ditch in a while, everything's gets screwed up. You're gonna get blisters. Your feet are gonna hurt from all this stuff. Because all my shit's manual. I don't have like a ditch digger. I don't have anything electric, so I'm gonna be stuck there fucking digging through the backyard. And then
dude.
We're going to watch Travelers again, rewatch that. I got some music that I just got back from a producer, which is pretty cool. Not that the stuff I wrote he's got, but I'm helping him with like sort of getting that a little bit better mix. And then gaming, we're going to do Destiny. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Destiny 2, yeah. Sorry, should have made that clear. Destiny 2. So we're going to do that.
Some raids.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm going to play it by ear because I don't have the time to play something I don't really like.
Is the patch out? My dad's been playing it a lot. Is that because of the patch?
No, not that I know of, but I've been away for so long that some really good quality of life has occurred since the last time I played. It was ages ago. But the new patch with all the stuff for the final place looks, I mean, admittedly, a good step for them if they want to do a Destiny 3 and have it hit or whatever their next season will be. Whatever world, whatever stories they tell. Do we have anything else before we wrap this up? Do we have anything good? Anything amazing? Any books? Oh, and I'm reviewing Hellblade too, but I said that's starting. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Over.
Actually, if you remember, give me a sec. Last week, I mentioned this book that I had picked up once upon a time.
Yeah, you had showed me last Friday, I think.
Yeah, and I've had the time. I had the time to read it since because I had only bought it that Friday. And I have to say, it's one of the best graphic novels I've ever read.
Oh, damn!
It's really, really good. It's historical fiction centered around a real historical figure, a controversial person in French history, a Romanian Jew named Joseph Ioanovici, who immigrated from Romania to France and built himself a fortune as a scrap metal dealer. He couldn't read. He couldn't write numbers either. He actually developed his own number system with his own symbols for numbers to keep track of numbers. built an incredible empire. Then the Second World War came. He became a sort of collaborator, sort of supplying the Germans with scrap metal, but he also really supported the French resistance, provided them arms, finances, and everything. It's a really complicated story, really layered. It's kind of a mix between Casablanca, Schindler's List, and like crime epics. There's a lot of stuff there. A lot of it is really, really grounded, really, really serious. There were a couple of instances where I kind of had to take a break because there are moments that hit really, really hard in it. Yeah, it's definitely a recommend for me.
I'm reading an autobiography.
It is available in English print. Sorry.
I'm reading an autobiography from Jenna Hayes. It's called One in the Pie, One in the Eye. Yeah.
Wow.
Just joking, it's not.
Funny title. Okay.
I just made
it's
it up.
correct.
I was like, that'd be pretty amazing. He's all talking this like eloquent
nice
stuff.
contrast.
He's like, from a diplomat, he made his own number systems, and I'm like, yeah, I got Jenna Hayes' new autobiography. Actually, it's just a visual novel, and it's only 6 pages.
That would be a banger, though. I'll read that.
That would be a banger. We'll end on that. That would be a banger. Anybody have anything else before we wrap it up? Anything?
I had a crack at making a review, so I would love if people give me some feedback.
Yes, for sure. Johnny plays
what's
live.
Working. Johnny Plays Live YouTube. Let me know.
Thumbs it up, like it, subscribe to him,
or dislike it. Engagement is good. So throw some tomatoes, spit at my face. Not like that. That
sounds like an autobiography right there.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, that'll be it for us. Everybody have an awesome weekend. I hope you all enjoy yourselves. Thanks for checking out the channel. It's been a pleasure to have you guys around for as long as we have. And that'll be it. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Take care.
One in the